Where it stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
It's okay, honey. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Criminality. And if this is your first time here, welcome to Criminality. So, sorry, I had a tiny human that is needed some mom stuff. So, thank you guys for being here. I hope that everybody's enjoying your Friday, and we have a plethora of filings today to review. So, I am going to touch on, there's obviously an elephant in the room, and I had said yesterday that I would address it today, and I plan to. I don't have a prepared speech or anything, but I do want to touch on what happened yesterday in chat. Obviously, it had been a little while since I was live. Everybody, if you watched yesterday's live, you guys know I had been sick, and then I had to catch up on life and so on and so forth, and just, regular old bullshit in life. That's just how it went. And then I went live yesterday. Kind of the plan was just to touch on the couple things that I had missed while I had been gone, and then just kind of have like a fun, relaxing live, because I knew I had to kind of get back into the flow of, I know it sounds weird, but like sometimes you forget like what buttons to even push, like where shit is. So I was doing my best to just go with the flow. We decided to do an open panel, and for the most part, it was good. There was, obviously, we had a guest who has a lot of information. It became very confusing, and he's, and he's not a fan of a lot of people that I like, and I'm, not a fan of some people that he likes. It's just how it goes in life. And it became very confusing for you guys that were watching. It was very confusing for us on panel. Not because I feel like his information doesn't mean something, because I think it does. It's just, it was very, and he admits, like, it's unorganized and it needs to be put together in a better way. So I offered to help do that, and we were able to, move on. And then we had, the ending kind of abruptly, because I got a little emotional. I'm going to be very honest here. I got a little emotional, and there was somebody in chat, and if most of you guys know who Sleuth Intuition is, for the a year that I've covered this case, Sleuth and I have gotten along very, very well. He's come to my chat. I've gone to his chats. It's always been very copacetic. Even if we don't agree on all the things, it's always been very copacetic. So there was a comment that was made in chat, and I, it's tough. It's not always easy. And you guys know this. You guys text each other, and you guys have Discords and messengers. And sometimes things aren't always quite what they seem in a message or in a chat. And I have been on the other side of that, where I was in a Discord. I made a comment meaning it in a specific way. And of course, it doesn't always come across the way that I meant it to be, because it's in writing and it is what it is. So I'm going to leave that there for just a second, because then I'm going to backtrack and kind of give you guys a little bit of backstory on, I think, why I escalated a situation that, in my opinion, and I know you guys are amazing. I have gotten so many messages from you just in support of just my well-being and just making sure I'm okay. And I want to thank you guys for that. But I'm going to backtrack for a hot minute from before I got sick. there was a couple situations that transpired right before I had gotten sick, and most of you guys all probably know the situations that I'm referring to, but I'm going to go into it anyway. And so I'm going to try to stay out of the drama side of it. And yes, you did, Sleuthy. What are you talking about? You checked on me right away. Why are you lying? You lying. Yes, you did. You were like one of the first people to message me. But so before I got sick, if you guys remember, we had gotten all the transcripts and we'd, done what we could to, raise the money to get the transcripts that we were allowed to get at the time. And I'm even going to backtrack just a little further than that, because I feel like this is kind of when it started. When we had initially gotten the email from Jody on the cost of the transcripts, there was like, it's going to be, I don't even remember the exact cost now, but like $4,000. And we were like, holy shit, like that's ridiculous. And there was another creator who had posted on her community wall, one that I've watched pretty regularly. And she had posted that she was also going to be raising money to try to pay this $4,000. Well, if you guys know anything about the transcripts, the first person who pays $5.75 per page. Once it's done, you get what's considered a copy, and you only pay $1 per page. So I reached out to this creator. Like, we've never had any bad blood whatsoever, and I was like, hey, like, why don't we like go in on this together? That way we're not both trying to raise $4,000 and $1,000. Like, we're then even together we would be raising $5,000, even if one of us got the copy and one got the original. And she was all for it. So if you guys aren't aware, in my Facebook group, Criminality, there is a Delphi chat. Like, you can have community chats. And I have a Delphi community chat. I have other case chats as well. Delphi always seems to be popping, though, like 24/7. Things like going. It takes me forever to catch up, even if I can. And so I went into the chat and I was telling the chat, like, hey, I finally got the response on how much it's going to cost. And I actually think one of them in the chat actually had sent me like, hey, Beyond the Evidence, which is Marv, is going to be doing the same thing. And I was like, perfect, I'll reach out. And so I reached out and we agreed. So Marv and I had agreed that we were going to do this, like we would do it together. She ended up doing a live on her channel and then invited me to come up on the panel, and all was very copacetic. So like, we were going to raise this money and we were going to go in on these transcripts, and then she'd get transcripts, I'd get transcripts. We'd all be hunky dory. And we had like a live together, and it was good. And it was like, obviously all of us, no matter what side of a fence you sit on, or whether you sit on the fence with me, we all wanted the transcripts, and it didn't make sense to pay for everything twice. Like, it was just kind of silly. So why not just pay for it and just share it, right? Like, that makes sense. So we were going to do that. And then, so I told my Delphi chat, like in my group, I know I don't, but I want to. I'm going to tell you. I just want to tell you guys kind of where everything kind of led to. And so I was like, okay, great. Like, we're going to do it. I go tell my Delphi chat. I'm like, we're in. Like, we only have to raise half. They're going to raise the other half, or somewhere right there. We'll go in, and it's perfect. Like, nobody has to spend, because it was a ridiculous amount of money to spend, and we were all like, fuck this. Like, none of us even really wanted to spend it, but we wanted the information. So we're all good. Everything is like hunky dory. And then I get an email, and it says that she has decided to not work with me. Not because of me, but because of people that I surround myself with, which I was like, okay, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because we're all going to have the transcripts anyway, one way or the other. Now we're just going to cost ourselves more money. But, like, and I said this when I went live about it, I said, she's a grown woman. She can make her own choices. It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to make choices for other people. I don't expect anybody to make choices for me. So, it is what it is. And, I think that there was I think this is kind of the beginning of a rift that I felt like, even though there was still hard lines in the community between this guilty, innocent, fence sitters, I felt like we were all kind of welcome wherever we really wanted to go, for the most part. Not everybody everywhere, but for the most part, I thought we were like kind of coming together. And so for me, mentally, I see this as like wait, like, so there's going to be a hard line that we're going to have to spend like twice as much money to get the exact same documents, just because people don't like people that I talk to. When I honestly tried for a year to be inclusive of anybody who wanted to come in the chat, besides people that were just dicks to me. you know, dicks to other people in the chat most of the time. I really just tried to be all inclusive because I've said this 1,000 times to you guys. I've covered other cases. I used to be on another channel where we covered true crime, and it was a case that I had covered, and there was, you know, a lot of fighting about just whether the person did it, whether they didn't, whether what evidence was right, whether it wasn't. And I was in the mix. Like, so I'm not trying to say like, oh, they all did it. And I was like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? I was in the mix. And then when I walked away from that, I was like, that sucked. You know what I mean? Like, I could get in there and I could fight with the best of them. But when I walked away and we were covering other cases, and then I'd go back to watch those very same people and we agreed on the case. Yes, it was Watts. Oh, thank you, Stephen Curry. I appreciate that. But it doesn't matter how inclusive you are or what your conduct or behavior is. There are people who are committed to misunderstand you, even when you've done nothing wrong. Always be kind. And I do agree with that, and we'll get there. So this is a very normal thing. Yes, G-Ray, yes. This is a very normal thing in true crime. So I purposely, if you look at my channel, like I cover cases while they're like kind of unfolding, and then I'll go back and like cover the trial of that. Like that's kind of how I've gone. I have tried to stay out of cases the way that I have been involved in Delphi, and the way that I was involved in like the Watts case, and the way I was involved in the Summer Wells case. I didn't want to go back to that because I knew the fighting would happen. But like I was saying, so I go back and watch these people that I was like fighting tooth and nail with over Chris Watts, and whether, you know, Nicole Kessinger had something to do with it, or whether even just because they had, you know, information in the documents wrong, and I'd go to correct them and it'd cause fights. And it was just, looking back on it, it's just so naive and immature, and just, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I was new, and it was my path to pave, right? I had to learn my lessons. And so I couldn't go back to talk to those people because I had burned those bridges. And even though we agreed on all these other cases, and I thought like, hey, you know, like I agree with you, and I kind of want to be in your chat, but now that we've like called each other every name under the sun and have been really mean to each other and made fun of each other, I don't know how we can get back to being able to just hang out in each other's chats. So I knew that once I started back into Delphi, like, because I had covered Delphi with the other channel I was with. I'd covered Delphi when I started this channel, very briefly, just to kind of have you know, a synopsis of it. And I knew that when I started digging into this, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to let it go, because I know my personality, and I know like how my brain works. And if I can't come up with a reasonable solution in my own brain of what I think happened, I can't let it go. And you know, and it's different for a lot of other cases. Like, I don't know if you guys looked at my community wall, but there was a lady named Lisa Snyder in 2019 who killed her 2 children and then tried to blame it on one of the children. There was like no doubt in my mind that she did it. Like, she started a Facebook group and was like asking for like money and donations. There was no doubt in my mind that she did it. So what I'm trying to say is like, I didn't have to follow that in its entirety. I just kind of, once I have like a kind of a good like gut feeling about what the answer is, I kind of just I move on to something else. But you know, Delphi, I just don't. And I know that frustrates the shit out of people. And like, people are like, you have to see this and you have to see that. And it's like, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I just don't see it your way. I see it my own way. And I have questions on both sides of the fence, which is why I can convince myself to go over here, and then I can convince myself to go right back. And if that pisses people off, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not intentionally doing it. If you look at almost every case I cover, I have a pretty good idea that I think, yeah, this person's the person, or I don't. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that Karen Reed and Richard Allen are probably the 2 most where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. So apparently that makes people really mad. And if you don't just blatantly say to people that Richard Allen is guilty, then you become a pro Richard Allen supporter of child killers, and then it just becomes like raunchy, and it's just stupid, automatically stupid. But it's beyond anything that even makes any reasonable sense to a normal human being. But so to back up, so before I had gotten sick, we'd gotten the transcripts. You know, we went our separate ways. I had told my chat about the fact that we weren't going to be splitting the transcripts, and then I'm going to tell you, like, people were not happy. And they had some comments to make because it irritated people that her comments were people that followed my channel were not the people that she really wanted to be working with, which is fine. Like I said, she's a grown woman. She can make her own choices. But then the people in my chat also have the right to make their own choice, whether that pisses them off or not when it's about them. So we just go our separate ways. All is well, fine. Somebody in the chat decides to screenshot it because, you know, that's just how fucking people are. And then so she gets mad and then says, you know, hey, like your people in your chat are talking shit about me. Well, it's like, well, they're talking shit about you, talking shit about them. So yeah, because you told us that you don't want to work with us because of them. So it kind of is what it is. So I think this is, when I look back on it, I feel like there was this weird rift that happened between the very, very pro-guilter people, like the what do they call them, like the ragers. And I think that at that point, it was like, if you were on the fence or if you're pro Richard Allen is innocent, you're together. Like you're bonded, and that's just how it is now. It doesn't really matter. So then there became like you're screenshotting that chat right now. Then there became some type of I don't even know where the fuck it started, but somebody decided that they were going to question the fact that I was hiding things in the transcripts when we were doing the read-throughs. So then there was channels that went live and comments that were made in other people's chats that I was hiding pieces that made Richard Allen look guilty from the transcripts that I put out, and I put in a Google Drive and sent out to anybody who wanted them. So I was apparently hiding them. I don't know if the intent was that I had gone in and like edited them, which is just stupid because if anybody knows me, I couldn't fucking edit. I couldn't even add a PDF together. Like that's just dumb. But it was what it is. So I supposedly was like leaving out all the things in these transcripts that made Richard Allen look guilty. Well, also another really stupid thing about that was, and if you guys actually watch the lives, you guys know that I got the transcripts and I put them in a Google Drive and sent them to Sleuthy because I had to leave and I hadn't read any of them until I got back. And I thanked Sleuthy profusely for being the one who helped set up everybody to read because I wasn't able to. So I didn't even have time to go in and fucking edit anything or intentionally leave anything out. So it's just dumb. So my integrity was already being questioned at this point, and people are actually on lives talking about me and my channel and the fact that I would do this. So I have an issue there. And then we have this whole thing that comes up, and I don't want to spend forever on this whole topic because it's honestly, it's a waste of time. And like people are saying, like, you don't have to explain yourself, but I literally want you guys to know the entire story before I get to what happened last night. Teresa literally can't even add a page to the transcript. I can't. I don't know how. When we had the person that was scanning them for us, they had missed a page. They had to take a picture of it and send it later. And I didn't know what the fuck to do with it. So like, it's just not going to happen. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's not talk about my inefficiencies. So then we had this situation arose where they had the court hearing that ended up being where, you know, they did the first part private, the second part was supposed to be public, and then it ended up getting canceled and whatnot. And then all of a sudden there is a live on Facebook about somebody who says that they went and recorded a conversation they had with Kathy Allen. Well, first they just say they had a conversation with Kathy Allen. And that was like the simple thing. Like the live on Facebook is like, we had a conversation with Kathy Allen and she says she's not married anymore and blah, blah, blah. Like whatever this, and then she's only there for Janice. I can't remember all the fucking details because one, I don't want to know about Richard Allen and Kathy Allen's personal life, but it is what it is. So she does this Facebook live in a group that I'm blocked from I have no idea why. I don't even know when the hell I got blocked from it, but apparently I've been blocked from it for a long time. It's okay. I don't want to go in there. So then there's a community post that's made on a channel that I actually have been very friendly with for quite a while. So the community post is made and it's really just like, you know, more power to like telling this story and putting out Kathy and Richard Allen's personal shit. And then people are saying it never happened and that this person's a liar. I've never actually interacted with this person that I know of. So I don't know if the person's a liar or not. I have no skin in that game. But in the comment section, she puts in there that it doesn't matter whether people believe her or not because she has the recording. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you have the recording? I'm like, did you record? Did you go up to a victim in this case, because she's not the perpetrator. She is a victim in the case. Not to mention, this person is very good friends with the Patties and continues to say that they're a victim's advocate. And I want to clarify for anybody who has a question about what type of channel I run. I am not a victim advocate. I do care about victims, but I cover true crime cases. I cover it because I like law. I like criminal justice. I like to figure out the workings of why things happen the way that they do. That's what I cover. That's why I have a channel. It's always been my I don't know how to say forte, it's not the right word. It's always been my goal to just cover cases in the entirety of a case and not at the vantage point of a victim. And if you guys know, and I talked about this earlier, the Watts case, this is one of the reasons why I try to stay that way, is because I became friends with Chris Watts' sister, Jamie Watts. We were friends for a little over a year. And no matter whether I liked her, I didn't like her, it didn't matter, because my perception and my ability to look at things factually went out the window because I cared about her well-being. I cared about what happened to her, not necessarily Chris Watts, fuck him, but I cared about what happened to her. So, but I could tell that when I was presenting information, it was skewed, even if it was subconsciously. So I made it a point, like, I'm not a victim advocate. I'm not out here advocating for victims' rights. I'm not. I care about victims, obviously. Some reason, that's the same reason I can't cover certain cases, because I care too much. But there are people who claim that they are victim advocates, and there are channels that will only go, live, and they talk about everything on behalf of the families of the victims. By all means, more power to you. That's exactly what you want to do. But like, don't try to make my channel your channel, because that's not what I am, and it's not what I'm here to do. So the irony in this, that's true. It did. I know it did. The irony in this whole thing is so I'm like, wait a minute, you recorded a private so Kathy Allen left the courthouse and was outside talking, at the gazebo, or whatever you want to call it, with Brad Rosie, because Baldwin wasn't there. So he was out there talking to them. So this group of women, or whatever you want to call them, decided to wait and walk up to Kathy Allen while recording it. For what purpose? So I'm like, okay, maybe they just like ran into each other. That was kind of the initial thing. They ran into each other. They just start talking. It is what it is. But as soon as I hear that it's recorded, I'm like, okay, that's fucking shenanigans. If I was in Delphi and I walked up to Becky Patty, and just want you guys to visualize this. I walk up to Becky Patty with a recording on, and I just go up and start asking questions or just talking to her like, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. You're such a victim. Oh my gosh, I just think you're one of the best people ever. Like if I did that while I was recording, what do you think the people who protect Becky Patty, or any of them online, would say about me? I mean, shit, they're already making shit up about my integrity. So let's just think about this for a second. So I'm like, wait, you're a victim's advocate, right? Besties with the victim's family. And you recorded her. And now you're threatening to put the recording out of her private life, of what she's saying about her marriage, because that impacts whether Richard Allen is innocent or guilty. Wait, how does that make any fucking sense? So here I go. I'm like, just asking the question, like, did you record her? And the answer is no, I didn't. Somebody else that I was with did, essentially. And I'm like, wait, like, okay, so now there's multiple people involved in this situation where Kathy Allen is out there talking, and I don't care what she said. I mean, she could leave her husband. Well, I mean, fuck, he's been in prison for 2 years. It's probably not a very good marriage. Probably doesn't feel like she's married. She has no husband that's with her. But anyway, besides the point, my point is that you fucking recorded her. So then there's somebody else who pops in and decides, and this somebody else is somebody I've also spoken to. I wouldn't say like all the time, but I have spoken to her. And she pops in and starts talking shit to me because I'm upset that the call was or that this conversation was recorded. And then she starts talking about the fact, and this is Jinx, by the way, just in case anybody's questioning who this is. So she starts questioning whether my integrity about the transcripts and all this other shit, which is the first time I actually heard the transcript story. So I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, wait a minute. Like, you come to she's like, I don't care about your channel, and I don't like this, and I don't whatever. And I was like, okay, great. Why do you act like you do? Because when the whole thing happened with Marv, the first person who was in my inbox saying that, like, she didn't want the drama, and that, you know, it wasn't fair that people in my chat were talking bad about Marv, was trying to make, you know, peace, and we, you know, talking about personal things like, you know, in life, and I'm not going to go over those because I'm not that fucking person, was trying to just go over, you know, things like that. And so I was like, so you fake being my friend, or you're friendly, you fake being friendly? Because if I don't fucking like you, guess what? I don't talk to you. You guys, if you pay attention, you know the channels that I don't watch, you know the channels I don't like, because you don't see me in their fucking chats, and you don't see me corresponding with them. I'm not going to pretend that I like you. I'm not. So we may not be like friends. We may be social media like people that, you know, are following the same path, and some of us become more friendly. And that kind of happens with time when you talk to somebody so often. So don't be fucking friendly with me. Don't act like you like me to be the one who ultimately, I find out, is there's a group of people who went in with Marv to pay for these transcripts for the purpose of making sure she didn't go in with me. Interesting, right? But I'm the one who lacks the integrity here. So I don't like fake fucks. I really fucking don't. Like, if you don't like me, don't like me. I don't care. I will survive. Trust me, there's a little handful from the Delphi trial subreddit that just like to troll the shit out of me anytime they can. But it is what it is. They don't like me. They don't even know me. They're like making comments yesterday about how I'm going to go home and drink a box of wine. They're fucking idiots. I don't even drink, much less do I drink a box of fucking wine. But this is fun for them. This is like this is the entertainment of following a murder trial. So, you know, let's go. Why don't you go watch your soap operas and drink some boxed wine? I don't fucking do either one. So this is just, it's like idiotic. So I don't like fake fucks. I don't. And so this leads me to yesterday. So I've just gotten back. I put all that shit behind me. I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I mean, at least I thought I had. So then yesterday, I'm first live back, and here we are, and it's like another person that I have been really friendly with came in and made a comment in the chat. And this is Sleuth Intuition. And the comment was, it was very simple. It was like, you use the Frank's memo as gospel. Okay, well, that's just dumb. I don't use the Frank's memo as gospel. I probably couldn't even tell you half of what's in the Frank's memo anymore. And I don't even refer to it, like, hardly ever. But anyway, so that comment, and I was like, no way. Like, like, Sleuth and I like get along. Like, we don't talk personally, you know. And most people think like I'm friends with everybody because you know, I'm social on here, but like, we don't talk personally. But we've always been very comfortable in the other person's chat, even if we don't agree. So I was like, wait a minute, like, this cannot be somebody else that I have spent a year interacting with and being friendly with that literally is going to question my integrity and why I think the way I think. So I got frustrated. I was already frustrated with the live. It was already overwhelming as it was. And then I was already obviously still subconsciously upset about all these other things. And I was like, I'm really fucking tired of people being fake to me. And I was like, there's no way Sleuth is going to do that. And I know that people in chat, I get it, you guys. I know some people don't like him. And there's people in his chat that don't like me. I get it. I understand. You know, I'll backtrack and tell you guys this. When I got back into the Delphi case, I didn't know any of these people. When I watched Delphi before, it was Greeno, it was Gray, and it was Matt Sullivan. Like, that was like the entirety of like Delphi, like the big hitters on Delphi YouTube. So and I'm sorry, I'm not really reading chat, but I will. I'll try to. And then if not, I'll go back and see it. So just please be kind. I don't know what you guys are saying, but just please be kind. Be kind to me, be kind to each other. So what was I don't even know. See, this is what happens when I even peeked at chat. But anyway, so I was like, there's no way that Sleuth is like questioning my integrity. Like, I'm telling you, I don't use the Frank's memo as gospel. And then it just like, it kept going. And I was like, I don't know. I think it just hit me like, there's no way that how many times or how often, like I don't want to be like super guarded where I don't talk to people or I don't interact with people or I'm not kind to people. I want to be able to have conversations with people. And I've always said I want to have conversations with people on every side of the fence, because that's how I learn. It's how I absorb information. It's how I figure out, you know, what I think is working and what isn't working, like with the system, and what, you know, what we're looking at when it comes to filings, and you get people's perspectives. And you guys all know that when people go to the trial or the hearings, I'll go watch all of them. I don't care. I watch them all because I want to know what their observations were. So I just was really kind of floored. I was like, there's no way that somebody else that I've invested time into, and it's not like there's a ton of time. Like I said, we don't talk personally, but it's somebody that I have really been, I've been kind to, and has really always been kind to me. So I was kind of floored. And I think it really hurt my feelings. And so I expressed that. I did. And so many of you came to like, hey, like, you know, whatever Sleuth said, like it was inappropriate. After I ended the live, because I was getting emotional. I was tired. I was like, I can't do this right now. Like it's just like, it's just so much time trying, like you're just kind to people. And then you try to be like friendly with people, and then they turn around and then they're just dicks to you. And you're just like, what the fuck? What did I do to cause that? But it is what it is. So anyway, after I ended the live, I went and ate dinner and so on and so forth. And I had gotten a notification that Sleuth had gone live and was having an open panel. So I pop in, and like right when I pop in there, he's actually talking with Fiend, and Dan's on panel and Fiend's on panel. And they were talking about what had happened on my channel. And Sleuth was like, you know, I want to put out a public apology because that was not my intent. And so as soon as he said that, I clicked the link because it was an open panel, and I went up there. And so I want to make it very clear, like, I have been the person who's written something that I didn't mean for it to come out that way. I've also been the person who says things when I'm really pissed off that I probably shouldn't say, and I should keep my mouth shut. So I do give a lot of grace. I want to make sure that people get a chance to rectify something that they've done wrong, because I want people to give me a chance to rectify something I've done wrong when I have. And let's be real, we all have. So I went on the panel, and he said, like, that was not what I meant. Like, I didn't mean like you had, like it was gospel. Essentially, after kind of talking it out, it was more like he was saying, like, I use defense documents as a source, as more of a source for my information than anything else. And so we were kind of talking about the whole constitutional rights thing. And he was like, let's get into it now. There was a lot of people on panel at the time, so we kind of touched on it. And then it got way off track because there was like 3 people in his chat that were just being fucking assholes to me. Those 3 people who from Delphi trial don't like me because I said the Inquisitor should not put out information without a source. Interesting. Anyway, so those people just don't like me because I said that it was a bad thing to do, and saying that it was factual information. And that's okay, DB. I completely get it. And that's why I'm saying, like, my grace does not need to be your grace. You guys do and have your own relationships with all of these people that you've interacted with over the time that you've been in Delphi. And this is part of the reason, like, people have always been like, well, this person's done this to me, and this person's done this to me. And like, you can't talk to me because you still talk to this person. And it's like, I would never be able to talk to any of you. Like, I literally would not be able to talk to any of you. I mean, maybe some of you, like, you know, Gilletta. I think she's still fine. I don't think anybody thinks she did anything. But anyway, I'm just joking. But there's probably many, but I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody because there's always people who don't like other people. And I cannot sit through trying to figure out all the receipts that everybody has against the other people. So I just tried to make my own decisions and do the best I can. And I think that's, you know, that's all we can really do. So I get it. And I feel like I had gotten to a stress level that if I hadn't been at that stress level, I would not have reacted the way that I did. And whether or not, there's one of them right there. No one cares if you like the Inquisitor or not, though you should. He's smart. Yeah, go ahead and block Delulu bitch ass over here. Don't want her in my chat. Go drink your boxed wine and watch your soap operas. So I don't let fucking bullies in here. You can leave. So anyway, because she is a bully, Sleuthy. They didn't even. I kiss the ass of bullies. I kiss the ass of bullies. Well, you're a fucking bully, and I guarantee you what, Delulu bitches, I'm not gonna fucking kiss your ass. How about that? And I don't care if you ever come back, no matter what fucking case I follow, because I don't like people like you. You are the reason this conversation has to happen. It's people like you. That's the problem here. Because people have this gang mentality where they can have group think, and you don't have any fucking idea whose ass I kiss. And if you think that you do, you don't actually watch my show. You just come to your fucking conclusion so that you can sit in there and be like a teenage bitch who like wants to make fun of people. So no, fuck off with that. I don't give a shit. That's a line that I don't pass. So anyway, you guys, everybody in chat, all you bullies in chat, tell me how many of your asses I've ever kissed. Please. I'd love to hear it. All you bullies, you know, all those bullies hanging out. What? See, it's just stupid. Anyway, so I overreacted to somebody, to a comment and to somebody that I should have given grace to because we have a history. And that's the bottom line. So I will give the chance because of the fact that we do have a history and we've never been unkind to each other. So yeah, I won't kiss your ass, DB, at all. So if he says that that's not how he meant it, I accept that. I accepted his apology. I offered mine because I felt like I went much further than on a normal basis I would have. And that's really what it is. If I wouldn't have normally dealt with the situation that way, then I have regret, and I don't want to have regret when it comes to people that I've actually enjoyed watching. That is my opinion. I know that doesn't mean that everybody in chat is going to like Sleuth Intuition. I don't think anybody expects everybody in chat to like Sleuth Intuition. But what I do expect is that when people come into the chat, and I get it, I get his comment really felt like trolling because it felt like it to me too. And I'm hoping that with that miscommunication, that doesn't happen again. And I know that you guys are like full on, like, we've got your back. And so many of your messages are like, we've got your back. Well, having my back is just going to be to make sure that, you know, if they aren't people who are actual bullies that literally just like to make fun of people, then I want you to show just ignore them or block them in the chat if you have to. Because I know that there are people that do not like each other that I enjoy, I get along with. I don't know how else to put it. Because this case is going to go to trial, he's going to be found guilty, or he's going to be acquitted, or it's going to be a hung jury, and we're all going to be back here. We're going to discuss what happens at the trial, and you know what? I would put a poll up. Let me put a poll up because I'm going to ask this question to those that are like lurking in the background for you guys to vote too, because I'm curious on what your answer would be. So what's more important to everybody that's here? What's more important to all the people who are lurking? What's more important to all the people that want to make comments or make fun of me or talk shit? What's more important to all of you? Being right on social media, or actually having the right person behind bars and get justice for the girls that you say that you care about? Because if it's just about justice for the girls, and that's really what it is, then fighting with each other and making comments and making fun of each other isn't really what that comes down to. So just curious what you guys really actually want, because there was about 10 comments about me in Sleuth's chat last night stating that I'm going to go cry in the corner when Richard Allen is convicted. What? That's the kind of shit that I don't get. So I just want to know from everybody and anybody who follows this case and anybody that you talk to, and if you're a creator, go put this out to your social media and find out what's more important to people who actually cover this case and follow this case. I'm done with the bullying shit. And like I said, that's me, and I took it to a level on somebody that I should have shown grace to and had a conversation with. That's really it. That's the bottom line. And I believe in second chances. The apology was there. It was, if I interpreted it wrong, there was a wrong word put in the phrase. It is what it is. I don't want to deal with it. I want to be able to move on from it. I want to be able to say, look, we had this little tiff. We worked through it, and now look, and I follow Sleuth on all kinds of cases that he covers, and he's come over here on other cases I've covered. So it's not a Delphi thing, and I think that's probably what makes me more inclined to like want a better relationship, because I enjoy all the other stuff. I enjoy, whether we agree on one thing or not, we agree on so many other things, and that's how I feel about most people. Like, just don't be mean. And I'm asking you guys, if you have my back, when somebody comes in that you don't like, just please don't be mean. Don't be condescending. Don't make snide comments that only they would get, because I know how it gets. And like right now, I've probably seen 4 comments in chat, and that's really all I've even read since I've been live for 42 minutes talking about this. It won't stop. It won't stop. But the bottom line, I can only control myself. I can only control who I allow to have a piece of me. That's it. I can only allow my own being. I can only, there's people like that chick that was just in here earlier. I draw a line there. I don't want toxicity like that. People who just want to laugh and make fun of other people like me. Like, you're not going to come in here and try to tell me why you don't like me. Like, great, don't like me. Stop fucking watching. It's fucking weird. So I'm going to say hi to you guys in chat, and I am going to read some comments now. Like I said, all I want is for people to be able to come in here and not feel like if they come in, they're going to be like made fun of. Like, let's work together. Let's educate each other on different parts of why we feel the way that we feel. If somebody comes in and they think that he's guilty, like, it's okay. I just want to know why you think that. Like, just don't be like, well, just because I think that, you know, just like, let's go through it. Let's talk it out. So I've spent way too much time on this. It's been much longer than I even wanted to talk about it. But I just kind of needed you guys to know where I was coming from. And, you know, I'm also somebody who gets in my own head. Like, I know that I had to fix that. I went onto his live last night to fix it because I knew that I would regret it if I didn't. Now, blocking people like we just did, I won't regret that, so I won't think on it. Make sense? So there's just a difference of, like, I don't want to fight with Sleuth. And that's fine. He also made a comment that Sleuthy hates him. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know if I've ever heard Sleuthy ever hate anybody. So I would like to figure out, like, those are the kind of things that I think that there might be some miscommunication, then people just end up not liking each other for it, because I don't think that's true. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and I shouldn't speak on it, but I just, like, there's things like that I feel like it should be fixed. You know what I mean? It could be fixed. Anyway, I'm going to say hi to you guys, and then we have a whole bunch of documents to go through. And I just, you know, it is what it is. I can only be me. I don't know how to be anybody else, so kind of stuck here. Sleuthy hates Nancy Grace. That's true. That is true. Okay, never mind. I lied. And Sleuthy she has an arch nemesis. I don't even know if hate's there, though. There's definitely an arch nemesis, though. Thank you guys for listening to that, and thank you guys for letting me get it off my chest. I appreciate it. Hard Candy, it's good to see you. Hi, Luke. Now, someone goes to person X and says person Y doesn't like you, then goes to person Y and says person X doesn't like you. I think so. I think it's very much like that, and I hope that yeah, Nancy is your only arch nemesis. Thanks, Diamond Eyes. I hope to be able to change it in a good way. I try to grow and cut out things that are not good for me. But you know, I'm getting older. I'm getting a little bit more set in my ways. IBGOG. Aaron, Aaron says, I was also quite biased against the coffin dabbler. Actually, I don't even know if she is. She still interacts with her pretty, you know, I think maybe she might have got blocked by now. I should stop talking for her. Tot Mom, I like Nancy. So this is how things go. Nancy is Sleuthy's arch nemesis. I like Nancy for her entertainment value, not for her true crime discussions, but I do like her. And yet Sleuthy and I can still be friends. Oh, goodness. Hey, KO. Hi, Duck and Felonies. Hi, Kathy. What's up, CH? Hi, Radar. Hi, Angie. She makes my ears bleed. Hi, Torso. I hope that's watching terrible movies for the LOLs. Hi, Artemis Prime. It's good to see you. You didn't. We're about to start. We're good. We're about to start into talking about the new documents that just came out today. Hi, Scarlet Letter. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. You guys have been dropping stuff in here. I'm going to have to check all these too. Peggy, thank you. Love you and your content, beautiful T. And thank goodness it's Friday. Motherfucking Friday. Hi, Hess. Nasty Grace. See, you bond with Sleuthy over that. I'm a pepper. T's a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Yeah. I got mine right here. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Yaya. I miss these angels. Chelsea. Phoenix. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the documents. Yeah, I know. So I needed to get this. I needed to talk about this, though. So, like I said, if you don't like me, just leave me alone. You know, we don't have to ever interact again. I think Nancy Grace is horrible, but also a national treasure. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Hi, Jen. Hi, Mar. Nancy is a legend. Hi, Ems. Hi, Heather. Hey, Jancy. Don't watch channels that I don't like. That seems like weird behavior to me. Life is too short, right? Like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. That's why I'm like, if there's something that I need to see, just somebody give me a timestamp or whatever. Nancy! Hi, honey. Hi, young black economist. What's up, Diamond Eyes? Never change, never change, never change, never change. Hi, Adrian, honey. Now, she's just got one of the sweetest souls of anybody I've ever met. I don't know. I just like her, like goodness radiates off of her. I don't even know how else to say it. Like I just adore her. Post-punk mama. Hi, Kathy. The best part is we can agree to disagree. See, and that's how, like, Kathy and I don't agree. We don't agree on the case. We've been able to have conversations about it. She tells me why she thinks what she thinks. She lets me tell her why I think what I think, and we just move on. Like it's super, like, adultish. I don't know. It's weird, you know. And that's how I feel about a lot of, or I should say, I felt, but now I don't know because I don't really know where I fall now because I feel like there's so many that pretended to like me and be friendly with me that don't actually. I don't think that she hates him. I don't know if hate's the right word. But I wasn't there. So like I said, I'm not going to speak for her. DB. Hi, DB. I play my jams. I stay silent lurker because of all the BS. I feel you. It's really hard to be a silent lurker when you have the channel. Sometimes it really sucks. It really sucks. Oh, thank you, Post-Punk Mama. I admire you, T, and all that you do balancing fam and work. It's exhausting. We went on that live to fix things. I know I don't even know how that live ended up ending. So I hope that you guys are all still copacetic because I don't want you guys fighting. I don't want people to fight with other people for me. You got your own battles, that's cool. You handle your own battles. I'm good with that, but I don't want people to not like each other over me. let's not even debate the case anymore. We all know the same information, and we are all coming to our own conclusions. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you. I needed to. Hi, Shiloh. This is why your channel is my favorite, and I love your heart and your common sense. I appreciate you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. It was. It was. It was, right? It was. I know I was like, people in chat were smoking and drinking and eating edibles, and I was like, somebody give me something. I need something at this point. I think I vaped so much that I had to change my coil last night. It's like, ah. Yes, me too. I am too. It's true, Aaron. It's very good. It's very true. Hi, Jamie. Andrew, thank you for your kindness and Dr. Pepper or a box of wine. I fucking hate wine. I mean, I guess maybe Dr. Pepper doesn't have that. No, it doesn't taste like wine. I fucking hate wine. And not liking wine was actually one of the reasons I didn't take a job at a wine place, because I fucking don't like wine. Hi, Bear Geo. Kit Kat. I Miku's headphones. No, you're not Kit Kat, goofball. No, I'm not Kit Kat. Kit Kat's in chat. I'm not Kit Kat. Mm-mm. Then you must be a little Snicker.
No, I'm a Hershey.
You're a Hershey?
Yeah.
You do like the Hershey's.
I like the Hershey.
Oh, no, you do.
What are these?
I don't know what you're talking about. Lights? Oh, it's a plug. Okay, careful. It's loose. Me too, Adrian. Me too. Emmy! Hi, Gail. Okay, I don't know if let me go. I'm going to go to all these because I know you guys are dropping super chats. Angie B, thank you for becoming a member. The community is unwell. I just want, like that's what I said. I think that no matter where you fall, everybody just wants the same fucking thing. We all just want the right person to go to prison. And if you believe, if you're already there when you believe he's the right guy, then it's good for you. Some of us just don't get there as fast. Like I don't know. Or some of us never get there because we don't think they're the right guy. It's just like, I don't know. Andrew, you literally, you spoil me. And you spoil the chat. You just spoil us. We appreciate and love you, T. You are fair, kind, and fact-based. All opinions are welcome. Just be kind. That's kind of, I try. I may not always succeed, but I do try. Radar. T is a classy gal, integrity, honesty, boldness, humor. Take it or leave it, but my kind of gal. Fuck yeah, Radar. And look at Andrew dropping 10 criminality memberships for peeps. Thank you. Oh, Colorado mama, what in the world? Thank you. One mama to another, the same age, who just had a heart attack from stress, girl. Are you kidding me? You did? You did? At our age? Oh, fuck. Okay, maybe we're gonna have to do like some members only, like breathing, like yoga, like stress relieving meditation type shit, because that's not good. We need to take care of you, and we need to take care of each other. So, girl, I'm so glad you're okay. All right, I don't know if let me see what. Let me scroll down. Hi, Sniper. Hi, BR, honey. It's good to see you. All right, I'm trying to. Hi, CH. Did I say hi to you already? I'm sorry if I did. Hi, Ausane. Nancy scares you. Thank you, Ems. Love you too. Okay, let me see. That makes me so sad. Like, that's so scary for you, and that makes me so scared. Like, Miranda, you did, and here's another person. So, like Miranda and I, we don't necessarily agree on the case, and we have a very, adult way of talking about it, and we get along really well. And I think that, like, for me, like, that's part of the reason, like, I want to make sure people can come in here, because, like, I have good relationships with some people that I know other people don't necessarily, or they don't like because they don't agree on the case or whatever. But I do. I enjoy people that don't always agree with me. So, but that's another example. And thank you. It's good to see you. True Grit Crime. But so was Vinny. Vinny was a prosecutor, and he's still like, what the fuck is going on in this case? Okay, let me see. Trust no one, be cool to all. Yeah, I think that's pretty damn good advice for the most part. I agree. I think that over time, and it sucks because R&M and I have been through a similar situation with people. Not the same person, but similar situations where people that we trusted for a long time don't necessarily actually have your back. So it is. And it's always a trust but verify, right? Teresa going to be listened tonight in the background. Ooh, hey. What's my favorite? I don't even fucking know a brand of box wine. I'm going to get a damn box wine emoji now. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Johnny. Wine gives me migraines. I think that I like, is champagne considered a wine? See, I'm so uneducated in this. I think that there's like a certain champagne that I like that I remember drinking at my sister's wedding, and it was good. But it's the only thing I can ever remember wine like that I've ever had that I was like, oh, I could actually drink this. Yeah, goat yoga. What? Are you serious? Hey, Necessary Evil. Hi, Mother of Dragons. I think some of you guys I said hi to, but thank you, Gilletta. Hi, Heather. Yeah, that is fucking scary. I don't know what people are having heart attacks at 45. That's going to give me anxiety. Okay. Let me see. Jenny, Jen, and there's a whole bunch of Jens that popped in. Hi, Judy. Andrew, once again, spoiling the chat. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I have your blood somewhere. Damn. Just, you may not know it, but I do carry vials of blood for everybody who comes on the panel. And then I turn it into box wine and feed it to you guys. All right. So silly. So silly. Champagne to be called champagne has to come from the Champagne. Oh, shit. How many times did you type Champagne? Region of France. Otherwise, it's sparkling wine. Champagne is a wine. Okay. DB. Since you're like the biggest bully, I should probably start kissing your ass more. That was oddly specific. Oh, shit. Okay. I'm going to have to video, I'm going to have to timestamp this, which is just always so damn time consuming. You love wine. Do you like wine in the box? You like the boxed wine? Apparently I do. While I watch my soap operas. All right. Let's go through. Let's start with the easy one first, which we kind of touched on this yesterday. Let me make sure you guys can all see it. I'm probably gonna have to grab a drink. I think I drank the pepper dry. Is that even something you can do? Hold, please. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday when we were doing the open panel. We were talking about the fact that the defense has requested for the jury to be able to go to the scene. They'd like Richard Allen to be able to go as well, but they're okay if he doesn't go, as long as the jury gets to go. And the judge had sent her, Insta message to Nick and said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put this on hold until I can hear back from the prosecution, and then we'll have a hearing about it. Did I say that 1,000 times? I should probably change my vocabulary. Stop bullying me, DB. So she puts that out and says, hey, I want to hear from the prosecution. So Nick's like, okay, I guess I have to put something in. So Nick comes back and he says, so now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland and respectfully objects to the court ordering the jury to be transported to the Freedom Bridge, the Monon High Bridge, to the site where the bodies of the victims were located, and to the site of the old CPS building to view those areas. The state would ask the court to consider the following: that the defense filed a motion to have the jury view the scene on September 23rd. The court should consider this, by the way. They should consider that they filed this motion. That the state objects to the jury going out to view those areas requested by the defense for the following reasons. The terrain where the bodies were found is very difficult to traverse and would be dangerous for the jury to get to. We talked about this a little bit yesterday too. And I'm not sure I necessarily disagree. I just think that there might be a better way to show them, but letting them see. The biggest thing for me is always when it comes to a jury view, it's about looking at like the distance between things. It is going to be tough because it's going to be in October, maybe November, which isn't necessarily the same as February, and like how things look. And obviously we know that things have changed. With the bridge and whatnot. So I'm not necessarily in disagreement with this. I think that it would be very difficult, and you can't just choose jurors that you feel are fit enough to be able to go past this, area. But I still think that viewing it firsthand it's kind of priceless. But we'll talk about that more after I'm done. That traveling to where the bodies were found and to the opposite end of the Monon High Bridge. There's a couple typos in here. He doesn't normally have this many typos. Would involve encroaching on two private landowners' property. I don't think that's ever been an issue for a jury view. That it would require a substantial amount of time and resources to take the jury to those areas while ensuring that they are sequestered from the public and the outside influences. That the areas of where the bodies were found along with the site of the old CPS building are substantially different from the time the crimes occurred. Number 3, that the state intends to introduce into evidence demonstrative exhibits, maps of the various areas, and drone footage of the various areas to show the jurors the various places. He said various like so many times there, outlined in the defense's request. Number 4, that any benefits of the jury visiting these areas is outweighed by the dangers, such as a trip presents to the jury and to the fairness of the trial. I don't know how that's the fairness of the trial, unless they're saying that if a juror gets hurt, then it's going to cause a mistrial. Other than that, it is what it is. That the state does not believe it is proper to have the jury view the scene or the other various areas. See, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how it wouldn't be proper. Like that's silly. Wherefore now comes the state of Indiana by attorney Nicholas McClelland and would like to file their objection. So this could go either way. I don't know if it's imperative in the scheme of things. It just kind of is what it is. It's weird to me that he doesn't want them to go out there besides the actual crime scene, and simply because I think that not everyone can handle that terrain. We've seen other YouTubers go out there. We've seen people that follow the case go out there, and it's hard for them. It's not always an easy way. It's not always easy depending on their fit, their physical health. Ron Logan, who could go up and down all day. So it'll probably get denied. Yeah, she'll deny it. It'll probably get denied. Nick doesn't want it, so it will probably get denied. For me, it's not the end all be all. I don't think it there's so many cases that we go that we watch and they don't go, and then there's some that they go and I just don't think it's going to be the end all be all. So if she denies it, she denies it. It's just an interesting why he's objecting on the fact that he doesn't think it would be fair to the trial, or that he doesn't think it's actually proper. So that one's that one. Let me see your guys' thoughts. Yeah, put it in the voir dire. It's not an easy going, yeah. For those who've been to the Monon High Bridge, could you hear others walking on the trails? I know people have been near the crime scene and could hear people on the bridge. I've seen videos like where people would go to the crime scene and then they would like talk, they'd like scream, and then you could hear the person who's like recording on the bridge. So I know that it's possible to hear them. I also don't remember off the top of my head like what the season was at the time and like how the weather was. You know what I mean? Judy, you're such a sweetheart. For a long time, Judy. Yeah, so you can hear screams from the bridge. Yeah, Nick don't want it, jury ain't getting it. But I still think it would be a good, even if they did like a drive-by, which they did for like some of the stuff in the Karen Reed case, they kind of just did a drive-by so they could see the distance. I think it would be good for people to see it, to see how far it would be to walk, like what it would actually look like. But I don't disagree that it could be very dangerous. And if that's where that gets to be unfair for the trial, because somebody gets hurt and causes a mistrial, then so be it. But I don't think that we can worry about it actually happening. I'd be surprised. Unless they come to like an agreement on maybe a drive-through. Like, we'll drive you around here and you guys can see the area. Yeah, see, I don't know why. That doesn't make sense why it would be horrible for them, because if they want to show the same, they're all talking about the same area, so they can use that area to their own advantage. You know what I mean? So I guess if you don't know how to use it to your advantage, then it wouldn't make sense. Would a golf cart fit down the trail, or would that be out of budget? I don't think that they could. Somebody who's been there is going to have to be able to say this more than me, unless I get to go in November, which is still the plan. And then I'll go and I can tell you. But from my understanding, here, let me see if I can pull up the map. Hold on. It's the way that the incline is on both sides of the crime scene. And this is only my understanding from people who have been there and watching people who've walked these trails. So somebody, if you're in chat and you know, then by all means, fill us in. Okay, let me see. So crime scene's over here, right? So we've watched where like Ron Logan comes and he has to like come down from up here. He like has to come down this like a hill that's here, right? And then we've also seen people, there's a trail that starts over here and kind of goes around this way. You can barely see it. I don't even know if you can see it on my computer. You can barely see it. Kind of goes around this way, and we've seen people that walk around this way, but then there's another incline here, or decline, or whatever you call it, difference in elevation. But you could see at least the general area if you drove through, or even if you walked this part and then you did come up on the drive over here. And I'm just wondering if like is this drive, like how much does Nick not want this drive to come into question, but he's going to have to show that in his demonstratives. That doesn't make sense. So you could come over here, and then this is what was always considered like the Weber Beach, like Brad's Beach over here, where like Jake Johns was when he saw the deer across the creek. So I mean, you could see things from here. You just can't see the actual area of the crime scene. But from my understanding, it's down and it's down. So let me see what you guys have to say. For sure is, and it's a bitch to traipse through. I have been out there. So, and I don't think that like going on private property. Well, so here's another kind of a weird thing: is the end of the bridge right here used to actually be the Webers. Well, they've taken that now, and they've actually made it it's either the city or the county, and I don't want to say the wrong one, but they've taken it as like eminent domain essentially. So this used to be the Weber's property right at the end of the bridge, and it's not anymore, if I am understanding what happened correctly. High criminal network. Then show that to the jury. Like that's what I'm saying. Like The only reason I can say, like, because I've looked at this obviously a ton of times and I still want to go and at least see it. Now, do I want to go down here? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. I think I'll kind of gauge that more when I'm there. But I definitely want to see like the area. I want to see it up close. And I'm somebody who's followed the case. So, you know, I have a much better understanding of the surroundings than somebody who doesn't know anything about the case and is sitting on the jury. I just think maybe they could just, like I said, just drive by. They could do something. They could walk the trail. They could just come and just see the area for what it is. But then, you know, it doesn't, other cases find, you know, they find the defendant guilty or innocent or have a hung jury when they don't go to the crime scene. So I just don't think it's the end all be all of anything. I have seen many fall going down the hill. I can imagine. So it's like everything kind of settles in this area. And there has been discussion, like there was actually like rope out here, and this is, you know, just the rope was actually part of a climbing rope, which could make sense too. The private property argument makes me LOL, coming from Nick. He's the state shall not trample upon the rights of citizens. Yeah, and most of this, like these guys are not going to be like, no, you can't come out here for a jury view for 2 hours. They're not going to care. There's a much simpler path. Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, you can say that this is the crime scene, and this is, I was saying this too, because you can't say Ron Logan's name, but technically the land doesn't belong to Ron Logan anymore. It belongs to his son. So then do they say it's his son? No. It's like being in a fishbowl. I don't know how to explain it. I had a great video. Oh, that sucks. I could raise doubt that that is why Nick doesn't want it. Yeah? I'm not going to fall down the hill. I don't want to go. Hey, Law Junkie. I think it's important for the jury to see the scene. It's a huge part of the crime. I just want them to be able to like just understand the depth and the distance, and I think it would be important. If I was a defense, if I was any attorney, in my opinion, I think it would be important because I think that you can argue your points whether they see it or not. Maybe I don't want to, DB. I don't want to. Yeah, but I mean, there's going to be drone footage. I think that's going to be the only way. But like I said, I don't think it's even going to matter because I don't think she's going to let him have it. But she did say she'd have a hearing. I have not nice things to say though, so I have to keep my promise to myself of I have not nice things to say about that situation. I have somebody who did that to me and took all my hard work and got rid of it and acted like it never existed and held it for ransom. So I get it. That's just a whole nother ball game of frustration. All right, so let's talk about the state's response to the defendant's motion to compel. We kind of touched on this yesterday. This is the one where the defense is saying, hey, we're asking these questions in depositions, and the prosecutors are essentially telling their witnesses not to answer, and then they give us like what they're saying, what the questions are, and certifying the questions so that they can be like, hey, we asked these questions and we can't actually, like, nobody will give us an answer. So he responds with, now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland respectfully submits its response to the defendant's motion to compel deponents to answer questions, and in support of said motion would state the following. The state believes the information that the defense is asking the court to compel is privileged information, as it is work product or pertains to communications between the state and one of their witnesses. I just find this very rich. Or it is not relevant to the guilt or innocence of Richard Allen. So they say it's work product. When Nick's had no problem even like looking at other people's work product. Like that's never been an issue here. But you know, he doesn't want the defense to see their work product or the communications between state and witnesses. So we'll go back to the other one because I want to see what he thinks would actually be his work product. So as of August 10th of 2023, the deposition of Jerry Holman, substance of the conversations had between Sheriff Tony Liggett and Jerry Holman while the prosecutor is present to discuss trial strategy, is work product and therefore confidential. I don't recall any questions saying, hey, what did Nick McClelland say to you? But we'll go back. Like I said, we'll look at it. We'll do them by person. So that as to the May 3rd, 2024 deposition of Jerry Holman, the decision of when to hire a blood spatter expert for trial is at the discretion of the prosecutor. And not only is Jerry Holman not in a position to answer that, but the state's strategy as to when to hire a blood spatter expert is work product and it is confidential. Okay, so let's go back and we're going to look at the Jerry Holman part. We're going to see if what Nick says could potentially be true. Let me see what you guys said. Where's Jay? Hi, Dean. Think they can hurt the entire timeline by showing that the search teams should have been able to see the girls if Richard Allen had done it at the time they say he did. Well, I think my thought process is that's exactly what they're trying to do, is to say, if the girls, I think they're going with the timeline. I think that's all at this point, that's what they're doing. That's what they've got, is to attack the timeline of the state and say, you guys don't have a clue because you never even bothered to look at anything else. And you admitted not looking at any other time. All of your investigators admitted to it on the stand. Okay. On August 10th, the defense deposed Jerry Holman, and the following question was certified. What did you talk to Sheriff Liggett about to prepare for your deposition? So Nick wants to say that this is work product because he was present when Holman and Liggett had this conversation. On May 3rd, the defense deposed Jerry Holman, and the following questions were certified. Why did it take you guys so long to get a blood spatter expert in April of 2024? Nick's comment is, that's not up to Jerry Holman, so it doesn't matter. He doesn't get to answer the question. Okay, fine, I can see that one. Why did it take so long for the investigators to get a blood spatter expert? I can see that one. Did anyone in your unified command or greater law enforcement investigative team ever suggest that you should do that? I think this one should be fine. Did anybody, in your course of investigations, did anybody ever discuss getting a blood spatter expert? Or getting somebody from a blood spatter team to come out there? So, fine. He wants to go with these. These don't have anything to do with Holman because he doesn't make that decision. Okay, well, he did make this decision because before it was in the hands of the prosecutor, every person that they actually brought to the crime scene would have been up to Jerry Holman and the unified command. So I can see yes and I can see no. This doesn't make sense. Ooh. I hope they're good, 4 pit bulls. I hope they're good. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out, when it comes to this one, if Nick McClelland is in the conversation with Tony Liggett and Jerry Holman to prepare for their depositions as the investigators. Does that mean that Nick McClelland is taking on the role of Tony Liggett and Jerry Holman's attorney? I'm asking this as a question, so because I'm not really clear on why he would be present unless he's prepping them. right? I mean, which would make sense if they're his witnesses, so he's prepping them. But that's not the question. The question is, what did you talk to Sheriff Liggett about? Not what did you talk to Nick McClellan about? I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts here? Because I feel like this one could go a couple different ways. Yes, Sandollar, he did. The guy used his own blood to test it. It's a very broad question, too. It doesn't say on X date during your meeting with Nick. Right. So, like, I mean, so it almost seems like he would have to be taking on the role of, like, being their attorney. I don't know where Travis is. But his argument about work product makes all the state's discovery work product. And newsflash, the defense is literally entitled to all the state's work products. But it would be the investigator's work product. I don't know. This one's kind of interesting to me, why he thinks that because he's there, it becomes that their conversation with each other becomes work product and therefore is confidential, especially when there isn't, like you were saying, there's not an actual date of when that conversation happened. So, okay, so let's go. So we're going to do now, we'll look at his response to the deposition of John Gallipo, the prior warden for the Westville prison. Right. Oh, man, they don't care about upsetting the families. It's 1,000% CWA and protecting the thin blue line. I don't disagree with this. Sounds like jury tampering. And no one's asking what Nick said. Wants everyone to follow rank and breastfeed. Air transferred where the info is explained. Certify a question after asking other info around it for pages. Right, I have those up too. Hi, Roxanne. I was waiting for you. I wondered when you would show up. I agree with you. I agree with you, for Pitbulls. I don't think there should be boundaries in the search for the truth. People really just want the truth. Sadly, I think this case is conflicted because it seems the prosecution is more worried about upsetting the family than getting to the truth. They're keeping too much hidden. I feel like, I don't even know if it's about protecting the family. I feel personally like it's about protecting this unified command. And because shit, he's throwing, it's not even just about the thin blue line, because he's throwing other law enforcement under the bus left and right. And putting into question fucking FBI investigations. So to me, it's like there's a protection about the unified command. That's the only thing I can come up with. It's I don't get it. Oh, Kathy, they could technically, or they could ride a quad. Oksana, oh, I love you. Thank you. Hi, Carrie. I wasn't sure if you had those yet, T. Just was making sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to go through them. I got you. You got banned on Twitter? Oh, shit. You got banned on Twitter? Hi, Mama Kay. How are you feeling? Hi, Justice Seeker. Tammy, because they are being paid off by the meth dealers. I've heard that speculation quite a bit too. Oh, you're like on a temporary ban? I've had that happen with Facebook quite a few times. Absolutely about protecting the unified command. I agree. So glad to catch a live. Hi, chicken operas. You worn out? We take care of you. That's the only thing that anybody will talk about anyway, because there's other things that he said that apparently nobody wants to discuss. Okay, so let's talk about the warden now. So March 22nd, 2024 deposition of John Gallipo. Conversations between Mr. Gallipo and the attorneys for the Department of Corrections are confidential as attorney-client communications. Okay, so let's go back and see what the question was. So on March 22nd, the defense deposed John Gallipo, and the follow questions are certified. The following. These guys in their time. Both sides need a proofreader. I'm assuming some of that talking to the prosecutor was just talking about the pleadings I had filed or Andy filed, things like that. Okay. And so what we were asked to do when you got the document, did they give you any reasons why the defense could not go see where Richard Allen was living? Do you know why they made that decision for a no phone policy in Westville Correctional Facility? Okay, so Nick is objecting based on the fact that those are attorney-client privileged conversations between the warden and the Department of Corrections attorney. Hey, Odd Structure. For this portion of the live, you're not too far behind. We've only gone through a couple documents. I had to get a whole bunch off my chest before, so the first hour was just me. Okay, so let's see what you guys think about this one. I don't know. We'll have to. I'm going to go through this one first, and I'll go through it with this one because they title the exhibits, but it all kind of goes together. So you guys think that these questions from the defense for the warden, I assume some of that talking to the prosecutor was just asking about the pleadings I had filed for Andy filed. So this is, they're talking to the prosecutor here, was talking about the pleadings I had filed for Andy filed, things like that. So this is what on the prosecutor's questions. Yeah, that was me. That was me. I try not to put too much on there anymore. It gets really mad at you. Does the DOC legal department not explain why they make these decisions, or they just say no in that? Okay, I think we'll probably talk more about his because there's a whole nother set that goes along with his. So let's go back and go through the deposition of Joshua Robinson, which is the prison guard. Conversations between Mr. Robinson and his attorney are confidential as attorney-client communications. And the question for him was, generally describe to me what kind of questions these were, questions for the affidavit prepared by Elise Gallagher. I'm not asking you about what Miss Gallagher talked to you about. I'm asking you about the questions you answered for the affidavit. What were those questions? Okay, so he must have written an affidavit and his attorney was asking him questions while he was writing the affidavit, or while the affidavit was being written with his answers. And so they're saying that this is now attorney-client information of what the questions were that led to the responses that ended up in the affidavit. That makes sense. Like, what kind of questions was, what kind of questions was she asking for you to give these answers? If it's for the affidavit, I don't know how that would be. The affidavit isn't attorney-client privilege, so I don't know. That could go either way. What do you guys think of that? I don't. Laura needs more information on that one. Hey, bonkers, babe. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one's Mr. Liggett. We talked about Mullen. That is to the May 3rd deposition of Tony Liggett, the purpose of the Unified Command meeting is not only not relevant to the guilt or innocence of Richard Allen, but also confidential, as the prosecutor was involved in those conversations, which included work product. Okay. Tony Liggett's question they wanted certified: what was the purpose of a specific Unified Command meeting? And he's saying, no, I was there, so you can't know that you don't have a right to that information because it was confidential. Like Nick McClellan met with Unified Command, and so the defense doesn't get to know what happened. Nick was present, so it has to be a secret. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, though. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, and then last, that as to the September 13th deposition of Steve Mullen, Mr. Mullen answered the questions that the defense posed to the best of his ability, and simply because he did not answer them the way the defense wanted is not a valid reason to ask the court for the intervention. Okay, well, I'm going to stop back up here real quick because there is something. He says it's not relevant to the guilt or innocence of Richard Allen. So the purpose of that Unified Command meeting is not relevant to his innocence or guilt. So that, therefore, it's not their business. But I don't know how you know that if I don't know. See, that's just doesn't make sense to me. That as to the September 13th, 2020 deposition of Steve Mullen answered questions the defense posed to the best of his ability. Simply because he did not answer them the way the defense wanted is not a valid reason. Okay, we talked about Mullen yesterday, which his was interesting too. His was, is your timeline and theory of the case fatal to the prosecutions? We talked about this whole thing with the whole fatal, is it fatal if Betsy Blair did not see Richard Allen? Is it fatal if Betsy Blair did not see Richard Allen's vehicle? Is it fatal if Sarah Carbaugh and Betsy Blair did not see the same person? Is it fatal if Sarah Carbaugh did not see Richard Allen? So he's saying just because they didn't answer the way you wanted, just because Mullen didn't answer the way you wanted, doesn't mean that it wasn't a valid answer. But I guess we don't know what the answer would have been then. He made conclusory statements to defense counsel that Richard Allen was the man that Betsy Blair observed and was the man that Sarah Carbaugh observed. Instead of saying, if it's not that man, then yeah, the state is screwed. So he's saying Mullen answered the question. Just because you don't like his answer, that's your own issue. I think you mean that's the excuse she would use. Be Fast and Furious. We don't know his other stupid non-answers to see how non-committal he was. Right. Or how about, was the question ever posed of, hey, did you pressure Sarah Carbaugh and Betsy Blair into saying that Richard Allen was the guy they saw? Because you said you pressured him into sketches they didn't want to give you. Now we know you pressure your witnesses. So I don't think those witnesses are going to be worth a shit. My personal opinion. Nick, leave the room. That's what I'm like. Is he? I don't know. That's gonna be a Travis question, I think, because I'm just not. It almost feels like he's taking on the responsibility of being their attorney versus being the prosecutor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Doesn't like ISP have their own legal team? A deposition they should be there for questions, not like he shouldn't be like representing them. But I don't know the legal line there, so I'm gonna have to find that out. All right, let me go back up. Where's Bob? I don't know. I need to message him or something. He probably is their attorney. It is fatal if Betsy didn't see Richard Allen. Doesn't matter if she saw him. That's not an answer. Yeah, doesn't matter whether it's fatal or not because we know she saw him. Doesn't matter if Sarah Carbaugh saw him or not because we know she saw him. That's why I said I don't even know if that is going to matter. Those witnesses are going to be terrible. Wasn't Bob in London? I thought I saw that. I honestly don't know. I was not keeping up with anything. He's in the UK. Oh, is he, Charmaine? Good for him. He's in the UK. When I got sick, I was like done. I haven't kept up with anybody. I missed a whole trial that I wanted to watch. Good thing it wasn't a very long one. I can go back and catch up. Hey, Steph. Fact that Dirty Doolin is involved in this should tell anyone what they need to know. Hey, Lauren. Thank you. Okay, so this is a little different. So this is from non-party. So it's through the Department of Corrections, a response to the defendant's motion to compel deponents to answer the certified question. So this has to do with the warden. The Indiana Department of Correction, a non-party by counsel, responds to the defendant's motion to compel answers to certified questions and states. That's why we'll talk about that one a little bit later because this one actually has the exhibits with it. So Mr. Allen did not serve his motion. I'm sorry. On September 23rd of 2024, Richard Allen filed his motion to compel deponents, including John Gallipo and Joshua Robinson, to answer certified questions. Mr. Allen did not serve his motion on the Department of Correction. The Department of Correction objects to the motion with respect to the certified questions directed to the warden contained in paragraphs 6B, 6C, and 6D of the motion because those questions call for information protected by attorney-client privilege. We talked about those. Those are the ones that and so you asked to do when you got the documents. Did they give you any reasons why the defense could not go there? So they're saying these are the defense is asking questions to the warden about conversations he had with his attorney, is essentially what Nick is saying. And then you have now the attorney for the Department of Corrections essentially saying that too. Those questions call for information protected by attorney-client privilege. So why would the attorney be telling it just doesn't make sense to me. Why would the attorney for the Department of Correction be telling the warden why the defense couldn't go see where Richard Allen was living? Does that make sense? Am I saying so did they give you any reasons why the defense could not go see where Richard Allen was living? How that question has nothing to do with a conversation that the warden would have had with his own attorney. I don't even understand it. Like I don't know how to explain it to you because it just doesn't make sense to me. So what you asked to do when you got the document, an affidavit signed by John Gallipo. So what were you asked to do when you got the document? Okay, so maybe the attorney's the one who told him what to do. Why would that not just be answered? I gave the document to the prosecutor. That's just so weird. I'm assuming some of that talking to the prosecutor was just talking about the pleadings I had filed or Andy filed, things like that. This seems like the prosecutor. This seems like a Nick thing. Right, Andrew? That's how I feel. Are they the DOC lawyer? They're one of the DOC lawyers, but that's the one that now represents him because that's where he works, if I understand that correctly. I just don't understand why these would be questions that would not be able to be answered based on this. So let's keep going through it and see if they answer my questions, because sometimes that's what happens. Yeah, why did you talk to Nick? Why are you having these conversations with Nick? And his attorney's like, nope, we're not going to talk about that because that's attorney-client privilege. No, it's fucking not. It's a she, yeah. So let's be clear, because if you guys remember, part of what Judge Gull was actually pissed off about Rosie for was because he actually filed on behalf of Richard Allen to secure Richard Allen's right to be able to sue the Department of Corrections in Westville for the way that he was treated when he was there. And that was one of the reasons that Judge Gull was mad at Rosie, because she was like, you overstepped. And he's like, I didn't overstep. I just secured him the ability to be able to do it. That doesn't mean I'm going to represent him in it. Just means because you have a certain time frame to be able to file things like that. And he's obviously in prison and doesn't have it for an attorney. So in these depositions, they also have to be very careful, because they also have a lawsuit that is potentially coming by Richard Allen. So yeah, the tort claim. Yeah, completely normal action by Rosie. And she was like, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Okay, so let's go back. I'm really confused by this one. I don't understand those questions having anything to do with his attorney. Takes no position on the question contained in paragraph 6A. Okay, because that's the one that's to Nick, or whatever prosecutor was present. So they don't care about this one. They're talking about B, C, and D. Okay, the Department of Correction objects to the motion with respect to the certified questions directed to the Correctional Sergeant Robinson contained in paragraph 7A, 7B, and 7C of the motion, because these questions call for information protected by attorney-client privilege. We touched on those. Generally describe to me what kind of questions. This is all about his affidavit. So they want to know what questions the attorney asked while he was having his affidavit written. Nah, that one could go either way, but it depends on it. This one I think is more, they have a leg to stand on than this one. This one just doesn't make sense to me. The warden one just doesn't make sense to me. All right, we're going to keep going. John Gallipo is the former warden of Westville Correctional Facility. Mr. Gallipo signed an affidavit on his then capacity as acting warden. That affidavit appears in the court record on October 10th of 2023 as an exhibit to the state's response to the defendant's verified motion for immediate transfer of custody. Mr. Gallipo was deposed by defense on March 22nd of 2024 and questioned about his affidavit. The Department of Correction was present by counsel at the deposition. Number 7 is Joshua Robinson is a correctional sergeant at Westville Correctional Facility. Correctional Sergeant Robinson signed an affidavit in his capacity as a correctional sergeant. That affidavit appears in the court record in the same place. Okay, Correctional Sergeant Robinson was deposed by the defense on April 14th of 2024 and questioned about his affidavit. The Department of Correction was present by counsel at the deposition. Great. Okay. Elise Gallagher holds the title of Deputy General Counsel for the Indiana Department of Correction and is an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Indiana. Great. Okay. Attorney-client privilege. I don't think we need to really go through this. We know what attorney-client privilege is. I just don't know how that actually goes into it. Okay, I'll just skim this real quick. Attorney-client privilege applies to all communications between the client and the attorney for the purpose of obtaining professional legal advice or aid regarding the client's rights and liabilities. The person claiming attorney-client privilege must show that the consultation was a professional one and that 1, an attorney-client relationship existed, and 2, confidential communication was involved. Deputy General Counsel Gallagher was consulted in her professional capacity and provided confidential legal consultation for her client, the Indiana Department of Correction, by communicating with Mr. Gallipo concerning his affidavit. Okay. Deputy General Counsel Gallagher was consulted in her professional capacity for Robinson. Okay, great. Privileged communications are outside the scope. I don't know how the wardens are. Answer to the question identified in paragraph 6B of Mr. Allen's motion is protected by attorney-client privilege. Okay, hopefully they're going to try to explain this to us, because like I said, that just doesn't make sense to me. The question, and so what were you asked to do when you got the document, which the document would be the affidavit signed by John Gallipo? The basis of the privilege, hold on. The basis of the privilege. Mr. Gallipo's testimony was that he believed the affidavit to have been prepared by the legal team at the Indiana Department of Correction, and that he had an in-person meeting with someone on the legal team. The question calls for a response of what Mr. Gallipo was instructed to do by a DOC attorney at that meeting. What? So the attorneys told him what to do with his own affidavit, and that's now confidential. Okay. The answer to the question identified in paragraph 6C of Mr. Allen's motion is protected by attorney-client privilege. Did they give you any reasons why the defense could not go see where Richard Allen was living? So the basis of privilege. Mr. Gallipo's testimony was that the decision... Oh, shit, I didn't go through the exhibit, did I? Shit. Sorry, hold on, I'm going to back up because I forgot the damn exhibit. Okay, so hold on. This is the Indiana Department of Correction, example A at, so here, let me go through, let's go through this. At 119:17, I believe it was legal. Okay, so let's read through. Actually, you know what? Let's finish reading this and then we'll just read through them. Should we do that, or do you want to do it at the same time? What's better? Hey, Richard. You want to just go through? We'll just do them now. Okay, we'll go through them as they put them in here. That probably works the best. Okay, so this is the one that has to do with 6B. Yeah, I think so too, Miku. That's why I'm like, okay, we'll do that. They mention it, we'll talk about it. So the basis of the privilege is that it was believed the affidavit. So whatever they're asking, hey, what did you do with your own affidavit when you were given it? They're like, nope, that's attorney-client privilege. And you can't see it. So let's read through this. Does anybody want to hop up and read through the question answer part with me? Or should I just do it real quick? So this is Defendant's Exhibit A, was marked for identification. R&M's going live? When? What time? You don't have a mic? Fiend Gob? $7 p.m. my time? 7 p.m. what time zone? Kraken, you want to jump on real quick? Okay, let me grab you a link. Tell me the time zone so I can... I'm going to try to finish up. I need to be off of here in an hour from now. So as long as that doesn't mess with her, then I'm good. Oh, shit. I got to go pick up a kid from gymnastics. I know. It's a dangerous request. At least it's Kraken, though. This is just Kraken, grab the link. 6 p.m. Oh, so like in 15 minutes. Shit. Okay. I know I won't be done by then, but I'm going to do my best. Thanks, Mandy Bay. Hi, the Royal Wheat. You should have just left your name the Royal Wheat, because that's who you're always going to be to me. 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay. That's good. I have 1 hour to do this. And we have a whole other document that I still need to go through. And it's going to be a fun one. So no open panel. Nope, nope, nope. Just Kraken, who's going to come and help me just read through these real quick. So that at least it makes more sense. Aw. I didn't even know. See, now I feel fucking terrible. Sorry, 15 minutes. Okay, shit. Tell her to just do it. Just do what she's got to do. I'll go as fast as I can. Right? I'm gonna be done in an hour. That's my thing. But if she wants to go, tell her to do it. Kraken, where are you? Open trap. I know. Is there a troll? We don't have a troll. Do we have a troll? Okay, there's. Hey, hey.
Okay, so am I Q or A?
I don't care. Whatever you want to be. I just wanted to have like opposing reads.
Okay, I'll start with the Qs.
Okay.
Let me hand you what's been marked. We marked as defendants A. Is that a document that you recognize?
Yes.
That's an affidavit. Basically, that's signed by you.
Correct.
Do you mind if I step over there just because I don't have a copy? Because I only made 2. So did somebody interview before? This was before you signed this?
Did somebody interview?
Who prepped this affidavit?
I believe it was legal.
You mean like Department of Corrections legal?
Correct.
Could it have been Miss Gallagher, maybe?
Possibly.
I've been talking to her a lot.
Possibly. Mr. Ridlin, I'm just going to ask that there not be any questions about conversations that Miss Gallagher provided. Okay? You're Mr. Rosie.
Oh, okay. I might ask one. You can object, but I appreciate you pointing that out. So you didn't prepare this? You didn't type this up?
No.
Do you know who typed it? Do you know for sure?
I don't know who typed it. I did have a conversation with legal about this.
Did your conversation, was this like a 5-minute conversation? Was it a meeting?
It wasn't a meeting. It was just a conversation.
Phone call?
In person.
And so how did this document get to you before you put your John Hancock on it?
I think it was, I'm not sure if it was addressed through concerns after the patches were discovered. I don't know if someone asked for it. I don't know if your firm asked for it. I'm not sure exactly why it was prepared.
You didn't ask to prepare it.
No.
I'm gathering that.
Correct.
Did you send an email to anybody with a bunch of bullet points that are similar to the numbers here?
No.
The question I asked earlier, forgive me if I didn't understand your answer. How did you get this document before you put your signature on it? Was it in an email attachment? Was it handed to you?
It was in person, I believe.
And so what were you asked to do when you got the document?
Now, Mr. Ridlin, I'm going to object to the extent that it involves a conversation with the DOC attorney. If your answer involves that, I'm going to instruct you not to answer. But if it's something other than that, then you can answer.
I should have cut him off, but I didn't. I just asked you a question and you were going to tell me the conversation you had with the DOC lawyer.
Correct.
Certainly the question, or certify the question.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go back over here. You're going to hang out for just a minute when we get to the next one, because we got a couple of them. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Did you get my email earlier while I have you? Did you get my
I haven't checked email yet.
Okay, check junk just in case.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. So the answer to the question identified in paragraph 6C of Mr. Allen's motion is protected by attorney-client privilege. Did they give you any reasons why the defense could not go see Richard Allen? The basis of privilege, Mr. Gallipo's testimony was that the decision in question was made by the legal team at the Indiana Department of Correction. The question probes the legal justification provided by the legal department. Okay. Moreover, in order to compel an answer to the question identified in paragraph 6C of Mr. Allen's motion is unwarranted because notwithstanding the objection, Mr. Gallipo answered the question. Okay, let's go. This one is now Exhibit B. Nope, I lied. This one is Exhibit B. Okay.
Okay. And then later we asked again. I think we even took it to the judge, but we were always denied the opportunity. We, as Richard Allen's lawyers, were denied the opportunity to go see where he was living. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Why would we be not allowed to even just go look and observe?
That was not my call.
Whose call was that?
Legals.
Did they give you a reason why?
No. Mr. Ridlin, I'm going to ask you not to answer if the answer involves advice you received from the DOC attorney.
Certify that question. Do you know which people from legal gave you advice? Which particular attorneys?
Yes.
Who are they?
You could answer that. Ms. Gallagher, I believe. Okay, so Ms. Gallagher told the warden not to let the defense attorneys come see Richard Allen. But he does answer the question, and they certify it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
I made a comment earlier, and I don't know if anybody else has the same thought process. If the DOC lawyers are applying prisoner mindset to a non-convicted in transit holding person who isn't on trial yet, how are they even involved to begin with, and how can they deny something? But I'm not asking you to answer that. That's just where my brain's at. Like, this whole thing is very odd.
Yeah, I agree with you. So it's like even kind of hard to wrap my mind around what, like, some of why this would even.
Yeah, it's like they put him in the cow farmer's barn, but expect the chicken farmer to feed him, but then cut the road off from anybody bringing the feed.
Right. I don't. It's very. I mean, I was confused reading the motion that they put out, that the defense put out to begin with, and like why some of the questions were what they were. But it's so.
People don't ask questions they don't already either know the answer to or know enough to make somebody give them what's missing. They know something.
Yeah, they typically already know the answer. So it's like, so why did, and also like it becomes intriguing because why does the defense want to know about this about this affidavit about Gallipo? Like, what do they already know about how he was handed this and who made the affidavit? Like, who wrote it? So it's like he didn't even write it. Somebody else wrote it, typed it up, handed it to him for him to sign.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Where's the collusion and who are the colluders?
We need more farm analogies, Phoenix said. Travis would have loved that analogy.
No, I was going to do, if you've got a pineapple under the sea, but you...
It's farm friendly. They're farm raised over here.
Sorry, this West Coaster thinks everything in the middle is a farm.
Like Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so all right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so
ironically, I live in farm country.
I used to. I don't anymore. But I know Travis would have really liked that one. He likes his ducks, his chickens, and his sort of fucking whatever they are.
Well, I make a lot of
sea
analogies all day for my puns, but I figured I was going to go move.
Okay, so to answer the question identified in paragraph 6D of Mr. Allen's motion is protected by attorney-client privilege. Do you know why they made the decision for the no phone policy in Westville Correctional Facility? And the basis of this privilege, as Mr. Gallipo's testimony, was that he believed the policy decision to have been made by the Department of Corrections legal team. The question calls for Mr. Gallipo to divulge the legal team's rationale. It's almost like the person who's making these decisions on behalf of Richard Allen and on behalf of the warden should probably be the one that's getting deposed. But they call him an attorney.
It's the guy with the seat. It's the guy in the truck with the seed bags. He needs to be talked to.
Right? Because it's like Gallipo's like, I don't have a fucking clue why they're doing what they're doing. I'm just being told to do this shit, and so I'm doing it. And then now you're here asking me questions about it, and these guys won't let me answer it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hi, Dom. Okay. Okay, so let's go. So this one is Exhibit C. Okay, this one kind of starts off funky. So that's you.
Okay. Bringing our phones in And you knew that we were bringing our phones in from the first time that we were here to see Richard, or there to see Richard, all the way up to the including April the 3rd of 2023.
I knew that permission was granted for you and Brad to bring the phones in. It's typically no phones are allowed, so special permission was granted.
And I understand that. And my question is, you were aware that we were able to bring our phones in from December of 2022 all the way until April the 3rd and including April the 3rd of 2023.
I'm not sure of the time frames. I just remember that you were allowed to bring your phones in at one point, and then that decision was overruled, and then you weren't. I don't remember the time frames.
Who overruled the decision that allowed us to bring in our phones into Westville Corrections Facility?
I think the decision was to revert back to what the policy was and no phones.
Who made that decision?
I believe legal.
Do you know why they made that decision?
Mr. Ridlin says, I'm going to object and ask you not to answer if it involves something that were told by legal.
Certify that. Was the fact that a photograph was taken showing the conditions of Richard Allen on April the 3rd, 2023, a reason to not bring in the phones?
I'm not sure.
Are contact visits no longer available for the general population?
Say that again?
I was recently within the last few months, I was at the women's prison on 10th Street. And while I was there visiting with this person, where were other family members at the table visiting their family, and there was close contact and vending machines and all that. Is that allowed at Westville? That type of contact for general population, not those peoples where Richard Allen was staying.
You're talking about in-person contact?
In-person contact, yes.
Yes. Okay, so essentially, they were allowed to take their phones in because he was a pretrial detainee, and as soon as they took the picture of him that ended up everywhere, then
they reverted to the rules of a prison with a prisoner,
right,
and not a temporary bullshit holding cell of
right.
doom. But it's like they're willy-nilly, and there's no, rails for the train track, but then they're also just making it up as they go along, and it's never the same person making it up.
I'm starting to really get the feel here that this defense team is not asking these questions to do with Richard Allen's guilt or innocence, which I can see why Nick is saying that.
Yep.
But they're putting these on the record for a reason, and that's why they're certifying them, because it does have everything to do with what was happening to Richard Allen at that facility and everything they did, that the legal department did to hide what the defense believes was happening.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. This is so much bigger than, it's like we wouldn't have known of Karen Reed's stuff without having the other case. It's kind of the same thing. All these things are going on at once, and there's a bigger puppet in both sides.
Right. Travis, you missed the best farm analogy. I was just talking about you. I must have said, DB, what do I normally have to say to get Travis to come? Is it whiskey and cigars? What is it?
You want me to repeat what I said?
Yeah, Kraken had a really good farm analogy that I was like, ooh, Travis would have loved that.
Okay, so this is related to Richard Allen being held at the DOC, yet people not in the DOC and people in the DOC are making decisions based on DOC rules when they are and they aren't. So here's what I said. It's like Richard Allen's being held in the farm of the beef cattle farmer, but the next door chicken farmer is supposed to be the one who feeds him. But they block the road off, and the guy that's got the feed to bring it in regardless is the guy making the decisions.
That's such a Travis analogy. Oh, it's bourbon. Sorry, bourbon. But this is now that I'm reading this with you, like I'm wrapping my mind around what the whole point of all of this is, because I really wasn't understanding. I was like, I don't understand what we're even talking about right now. Like, this is just craziness. Okay, so this is the one for Sergeant Robinson.
Okay. I'll add one
answer-
more thing while you're bringing that up.
Okay.
I think, timeline aside, all of the stuff that's getting in isn't getting in aside, I have a feeling there's going to be not a bombshell per se, but the incompetence, and little doubts of collusion, I think, are going to sprinkle in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Okay, what are we reading?
Okay, so the answer to the questions identified in paragraphs 7A, 7B, and 7C of Mr. Allen's motion are protected by attorney-client privilege. This has to do with the correctional guard, Sergeant Robinson. The questions generally describe to me what kind of questions these were. This all has to do with the affidavit that was filled out for him, or he was filled out based on his answers. So we don't need to read all those again. The basis of the privilege is it was done with counsel. And so let's go to, this is Exhibit D now. Let me pull this. Oh, this one's much longer. Okay, let's try to get through this one. Okay, so no.
And you were in contact with all of these people,
To some capacity, yes.
but none of them ever said to you, like, why do you have an I hate people patch on your chest?
No. This is Robinson, yes. Jessica. Yeah.
I'm going to mark this affidavit as Defendants A.
Okay.
Defendants Exhibit A was marked for identification. Take a look at that before I ask you questions. I want to make sure you get a chance to look at it so you know what it is. Let me know when you've done that, and I'll ask you questions about it.
I'm ready when you are.
Thank you. Were you familiar with that affidavit?
I am.
And this is an affidavit basically that you've signed, right?
Yes.
Your signature is on the second page. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to sit here and play reindeer games. There's a reference in there. I think it was September 19th of 2023 that you stopped wearing the patches. Is that correct?
Yes.
Paragraph 10.
Yep.
And there's also a file stamp date up in that corner, which you have nothing to do with, but it's October 10th.
Yes.
Do you believe that you probably signed this between those two dates, or was it some other date?
It was between those two dates.
What role did you play in preparing this affidavit?
I was sent the questions and I answered them.
Are these the questions you were talking about earlier?
Yes.
That was kind of confused by. That's what I was. Okay, he was confused. And I was confused.
We're all confused. Okay, so yes.
Who sent you those questions?
I want to say it was the state's attorneys that sent them to me.
In what form did you get the questions?
An email.
Through what email?
My state email?
What is your state email?
Oh, geez. They should have blocked that.
Redacted, redacted, redacted.
Yeah.
Do you know which state attorney sent that to you?
Not off the top of my head. I can't remember.
If I gave you some names, do you think you would remember it or not?
I could probably get you a narrowed down list of who it could have been.
There's 3 names that I know of. One of them is McClelland. Last name McClelland. I think that's
No, I don't think it was.
Mr. Luttrell down there, Luttrell.
No, I don't think it was him.
And Miss Diener.
I don't think I've ever heard of either of the last two. I apologize. I've only
Bullshit.
heard of the first one. It definitely wasn't him that sent it.
What about Mr. Mullen?
I haven't heard that name before.
So you got some questions and you answered them.
Yeah.
Generally describe to me what kind of questions they were.
They were questions. Mr. Ridlin, I'm going to ask a clarifying question. Could this have been from Miss Elise Gallagher? Yeah. Mr. I'm going to instruct you not to answer what your email conversation was with Miss Gallagher.
Certify that question. I'm going to ask you what, I'm not asking you about what Miss Gallagher talked to you about. I'm asking you what questions you answered.
Mr. Ridland says if it's questions that Ms. Gallagher sent you, I'm going to instruct you not to answer.
Certify that question. Were they questions that you asked you to?
Were they questions that she asked?
Oh, sorry, I can't see it. It moved.
Oh, sorry.
Were they questions that she asked you to answer, or were they questions that she asked you?
Mr. Ridland says you can answer that, but only answer the question that he asked. Don't elaborate. Allow me to clarify. You said were they questions she asked me to answer, or were they questions she asked me?
My view of this is that my view of this is that she sent you a set of questions, like formatted questions, and you went through a questionnaire and answered. That's what my impression is. Is that incorrect?
I guess. I don't think that's incorrect. No.
Or let me just to distinguish this. Did she just type you a personal email and say, I've got 5 questions for you. Question 1 is this. Question 2 is this.
No.
That's not what I was.
Not what it was.
What it was.
No.
You weren't having a conversation with her.
No.
You weren't answering a set of questions that I can't see anything, that she posed to you in some format.
Mr. Ridland says you can answer that much. The witness says yes.
Then my question is, what were those questions?
Mr. Ridland says, I'm all right. I'm going to instruct you not to answer.
And I'm going to ask to certify the question. This is lawyer stuff. We'll move on, okay?
Yep.
Did you type any of those up?
Yes.
Tell me which ones you typed up.
All of them.
Did you send these to her in some format?
Am I allowed to answer that? Mr. Ridland says you can answer. Witness says yes.
How did you do that?
Via email.
Did you create your own Word document?
I mean, like every time you open a Word document on your computer, it creates a Word document on your computer.
So you did or didn't?
I mean, I would say yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of other ways to prepare documents. WordPerfect. My point is, did you actually start afresh, or were you given a form that you tweaked?
I was provided with a list of questions, and I answered the questions.
Do you agree with me? This affidavit does not have questions on it.
In this capacity, yes. This affidavit in front of us does not have the asked questions. It is the responses to my questions.
All right. So you didn't type this up. Somebody else used your responses and created this affidavit.
No, this was my typing. The questions were not attached to what I typed. So the questions in its other capacity was an entirely different piece of paper.
So now we have 2 sets of documents.
This was my piece of paper that I typed.
So you went through and typed up your answers 1 through 28.
Yes.
And you sent a Word document that looks something like this, right?
No, it looked like this, minus the Carroll County stamp at the top.
Did you put a legal language on top?
Yeah. Oh, the affidavit part?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Where it says Sergeant Josh Robinson, Correctional Officer, Westville, which is part of the Indiana Department of Corrections, affirms and swears to the following. Is that your typing?
Pretty sure, yeah.
And then at the bottom, second page, let me draw your attention to the second page. Did you type, I swear under penalty of perjury as specified by 3544-2-1 that the foregoing representations are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge.
As far as I remember.
Where did you get all of that language from?
Okay, so this piece of paper, or this paper, before I signed it and sent it back with the answers attached to it, it looked exactly like this, except for the numbered boxes 1 through 28. Had questions attached. I answered the questions, signed the paper, faxed it back to the person who sent it to me.
I'm trying.
Faxed it back. You just said you'd send it to her an email and it was a different piece of paper. Okay.
I'm trying to understand this because I don't have the document in front of me.
I understand, and I'm trying to not overstep what I'm allowed to say. I hope you understand that.
He'll jump in, trust me.
Mr. Ridland says, unless I object, you can answer the question.
So 1 through 28, those provisions. I'm going to ask this again just to make sure.
Okay.
Did you type those exact words up?
I typed the words starting from number 1 to number 28 in response to the questions that were here. Yes.
And then you would have sent that back to somebody?
Yes.
Paragraph 1 through 28.
Yes.
And then the rest of this information on the top and the bottom that I just referred to was added to it.
It could have been. Yeah. It was on the paper already. The only thing different from the paper I'm looking at and the paper that got forwarded out was the paper that I forwarded out had the questions with my responses.
I see. Did you talk to Officer Jones before you prepared any of these?
No.
Did you guys ever have any conversations between the two of you about your affidavit and his affidavit before you signed them?
No.
What about after?
No.
Give me a second, please.
Okay.
Do you know who it was that you communicated with as you're sitting here today regarding that affidavit?
Yes.
Who was it?
Am I allowed to answer that? Mr. Ridland says, you can answer it. Witness says, it was Elise Gallagher.
Have you talked to anybody from law enforcement since Rick Allen has been housed at Westville?
What do you mean by law enforcement?
Investigators, prosecutors, police officers?
No police officers, no investigators.
Elise Gallagher is not law enforcement. She's DOC.
Okay, then no, I haven't.
You've talked to no one from Carroll County, from the prosecutor's office?
No, I don't think so.
You've talked to none of the police officers involved in the investigation of this case?
No.
And no investigators? I know that's kind of a technical distinction.
No.
Let's go back to these patches.
All right.
Where are we
Okay.
at? I can't see. Oh, no, you're
good. That was it. That
I'm
was
like,
the end
it
of
all went away.
No, that was the end of that one. You're good. Okay, so for the conclusion based on the Attorney General, for the reasons stated herein, the court should deny the motion to compel as to the questions identified in paragraph 6B, 6C, 6D, 7A, 7B, and 7C. Essentially, now that I've read this with you, which thank you so much for doing that, it is apparent that they are looking at.
They're setting them up. Yeah.
They're definitely looking into the legal team and the reasons that the legal team is so involved in why Richard Allen was treated the way that he was. So that's interesting, and that these affidavits were not actually written by the people who are saying they wrote them. Even though Robinson answered the questions, he had questions that he had to answer. So we don't know what the question was.
Exactly. And the person's intention behind preparing said questions and who colluded to come up with those questions,
right?
Who answered them, who then transposed
them.
So
who is Elise Gallagher talking to?
Exactly. It's the guy with the grain bag. Who's the guy with the grain bag at the road that's blocked? He's probably got an Odin patch on.
So, well, that's why these questions, they want them certified.
Huh? Oh yeah.
So now that makes so much more sense to me. I was so confused going into this. Like,
Well, it's
what
hard
the hell?
sometimes. I have to read things 3 or 4 times before because I'm a writer. So I'll have to read it, hear somebody say it, read it again, take a day off, read it again, and I'm like, oh my God, I missed a complete beat in this scene, you know?
Yeah.
So
Keiki says this is over my head. So I'll try to explain it in the best way I can. The best way I can is this: the defense put in a request to the judge stating they wanted these questions that they had asked in the depositions with certain individuals, that they wanted them certified, and they wanted her to essentially say, like, we need answers to these questions. The state has come back and said, no, we don't think that you deserve answers to those questions because the majority of what you're asking is either confidential based on Nick McClelland being in the meetings with certain people, or specifically here, the attorney for the DOC being involved. And so what the defense is trying to do, in my opinion, and I am not an attorney, in my opinion, is they are pushing to figure out who was pulling all the strings of what was happening at the DOC. So we've talked about the warden, we've talked about these patches, we've talked about all of this, and now what they're doing is digging into these affidavits and these depositions with the people who are taking orders about Richard Allen's confinement from the DOC's legal team. And now my opinion is they're going to try to connect this legal team to the state's legal team and show that all of this was all just set up, which many people have speculated, that they put him in there with the intent to do the things that happened in order to get him to confess.
My opinion as well. I think
record.
they thought he would take a plea offer and just
Right.
crawl in a hole and die. And guess what? Karen Reed didn't, and neither is Richard Allen. Again, all evidence can change anybody's mind, but behaviors are being documented for the bigger picture.
That's what now that I've read through all of it, that's what I think. They're trying to figure out if there is the warden and all of these people, they're all puppets, and they're all being controlled by somebody else, which is the legal team for the DOC. And now they're trying to figure out if this legal team for the DOC is being controlled by the state and the investigators in order to capture these confessions that we keep hearing so much about.
Yep.
That's where I'm at with it. I could be totally wrong.
No, I think it's a plausible theory. I mean, it's all speculation. It is.
I don't know.
It's not based on fact. It's based on interpretation. And I can see where your thought process is. And I pretty much think similar with a few other caveats.
Right. So like I said, you could walk away and go, nope, that Teresa's, doesn't have a fucking clue what she's talking about. And that's not what I take from it.
And you may not. Yeah,
right.
It's only based on our life experiences and observation and human behavior and, collusion and an evil cult, allegedly.
Yep. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to probably do some more listening to other people reading through it and kind of see what they see. Cause I'm a learner, I'm a weird learner like that. Like I like to hear, I like to read, I like to talk. I'm like, I need all of it to kind of go, okay, here's my
You're
final
an observer. You're an observer, and then you'll make an educated guess.
That's all I got, because I'm not an attorney, so I don't know, but it didn't make sense to me, and that's the only thing at this point that does. And next time we talk about it, I may have a totally different theory based on what I learned. So,
Jessica, your comment is exactly where my thoughts been. Which guards, employees, let's just say even psychological providers, at what levels were things intentionally red taped and cannibal lectured? Who's puppeting that?
All right, so we have one more motion to go through. Okay.
You're
welcome to hang out if you want to hang out. I don't have anything else to read. That was all the exhibits. We just have the motion in limine, which I now have about 25 minutes to go through. because I have to leave to go pick up my daughter. So
Yeah, I'll just get off. I'm going to be here listening. If you need me again, just let me know.
well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Everybody, a round of applause for Kraken coming in and playing the defense
All
attorney.
8 tentacles. All 8 tentacles. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we've got one more. This one I find very interesting, and I saved it for last for a reason. I thought I'd have more time, but obviously I talked way too much at the beginning of this live about other shit that it needed to be said, but it is what it is. So this is the state's motion in limine regarding a defense witness. Now, I don't know how much of you guys have read this or know about this so far. I'm going to read it really quick, and then I want to tell you guys something. Okay, so maybe I should just tell you first. Let me just show you first. So William A. Tobin is a defense witness and was deposed by the state on September 20th. So motion in limine, remember that they're typically to oh, thank you, Osbrook. I appreciate that. If I had time to do it right now, I absolutely would. Hopefully you'll still be willing to do that, because I appreciate that offer very, very much. I have 25 minutes to go through this motion really quick before I have to hop off. So this motions in limine, we've learned more about them throughout this trial, and Scarlett, your tiny human wanted to play Slapjack. Don't miss the opportunity. Slapjack's awesome. But limine is essentially to limit what somebody can bring in, whether it be the witness, whether it be the prosecution, whether it be the defense. We obviously had motions in limine. We've gone through hearings on motions in limine and what they're trying to limit being done. They also can be used to get something in. It is what it is. But so state's motion in limine regarding a defense witness. Now, this defense witness his name is William A. Tobin, and he does a job that is like not something that's like of the norm that we typically hear about. He has a bachelor's degree, and I'm going to probably totally slaughter this name or this word, a metallurgy. So he has a bachelor's science degree in metallurgy and a master of arts degree in special studies, which is the study of primarily of the study of law. So it's William A. Tobin. I'm bring this up. So I want you guys to see this. You guys may have seen this already. You may not. But he actually, we know his name because he's on the list that Travis and Sleuthy and I had talked about, a week and 2 weeks ago at this point now. As an expert witness, he was paid $5,000 by the prosecution. So he's paid $5,000 by the prosecution as an expert witness. Okay, let's see. Yeah, you don't get the communications between the attorney for the employer and the employee. There were other categories of questions that were certified that looked much better for the defense. Outside of the DOC ones, like the ones for Liggett and Mullen and Holman, probably. Yeah, I could see that. There was some I still thought that the defense isn't going to get anyway, but it is what it is. Okay, so this guy, they're trying to limit his ability to testify on behalf of the defense, is a paid expert that the prosecution hired. Well, the prosecution just doesn't want to use him now. So this is knowing this information. When we read through the motion, it just makes it so much more interesting, because it's like, wait a minute, this was your expert, Nick, and you chose not to use him. Why? And now why don't you want the defense to use him? So I just wanted to bring that up because I want you guys to see it's prosecution. He's under the prosecution side. $5K. $5K. Okay. So we'll read through this now. So it comes down state of attorney or state of Indiana prosecutor Nicholas McClelland, blah, blah, blah. He wants to prohibit the testimony by Mr. William Tobin, a listed defense witness regarding firearm examination in general, or the firearm examination specifically in this case, until a hearing may be held outside the presence of the jury to determine the relevance of Mr. Tobin's testimony. In support of its motion, the state would show the court the following: that William A. Tobin is listed as a defense witness and was deposed by the state on September 20th, 2024. Mr. Tobin has testified that he is a forensic metallurgist, and a material scientist. I also brought up some definitions on what that is because I'm like, holy shit. He has a bachelor. We went through that. In his deposition, Mr. Tobin testified that when he has been recognized as an expert in court, it's always been as a forensic metallurgist or a material scientist. Mr. Tobin stated that he has not examined the evidence in this case, though he testified he has reviewed some of the reports and notes of the state's firearm examiner, Miss Melissa Oberg. We've talked about her a lot on here. She's the one that had to do with firing the test rounds and comparing it to the unspent round, and then she ended up leaving the ISP shortly after. Mr. Tobin testified that though he has not reviewed all of Miss Oberg's materials, he has what he typically needs to be able to opine on the methodology that was used. So Tobin went on to explain that the state's firearms expert witness conclusions are based on flawed methodology. According to Mr. Tobin, this flawed methodology is the AFTE, it's the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners. The theory of identification, and this theory is what almost all firearm examiners follow, whether or not they are members of the AFTE. That Miss Oberg, at the time of her examination, was a forensic examiner with the Indiana State Police, and she, along with other Indiana State Police firearm experts, follow and apply the AFTE theory of identification. Mr. Tobin is not an expert in the field of firearms examination. Unlike another listed defense witness, which right here should tell you they're not using him as the expert in the firearms. They want to use him for, I'm pretty sure you guys can all put that together. The defense witness is Dr. Eric Warren. So Dr. Warren, like the state's expert witness, which is Miss Oberg, is not only a member of the AFTE, but holds or has held leadership positions within the AFTE. Mr. Tobin's expected testimony will be that all firearm examiners, including Miss Oberg and Dr. Warren, follow a flawed methodology and their opinions are not scientifically reliable. However, the state believes that Mr. Tobin, who is not an expert in the field of firearms examinations, lacks the qualifications to testify regarding the firearm examination in this case, and that his knowledge is not such that it would help the trier of fact to understand the evidence or to determine a fact and issue in this case. Further, the state believes that Mr. Tobin's testimony would lack relevance under the Indiana Rules of Evidence 401, since he is not an expert in the field of firearms examination. Finally, that the probative value of Mr. Tobin's testimony would be substantially outweighed by a danger of confusing the issues and misleading the jury. So that's a beautiful sentence right there. To say that an expert that he hired who didn't agree with his assessments would mislead the jury is just, I can't even tell you. And the danger of confusing the issues. So having somebody on the stand who legit is going to say what most of us have talked about for a long time is that the firearms analysis and tool mark analysis is becoming more and more about junk science than it ever was about actual evidence. That would be confusing and would be a danger to misleading the jury. And that's evidence rule 403. So the state believes that the question of whether or not Mr. Tobin should be permitted to testify in this case is very similar to a recent case out of Marion County. You guys look this case up, State of Indiana versus Caden Smith. I don't have time to go over it with you, but so in this case though, Judge Harrison ruled that Mr. Tobin would not be permitted to testify, and in her order dated January 29, 2024, said that the witness, Mr. Tobin, was being called by the defense to testify only as of the shortcomings of firearms examination in general. This witness has not tested or reviewed any of the evidence in the cause, the defendant will have the opportunity to cross-examine the state's witness to present his defense as of the shortcomings of firearm examination. The court now grants the state's motion in limine, paragraph 5. And it was specifically related to Mr. Tobin. So wherefore, the state of Indiana, by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland, respectfully requests that this court to grant the following relief. Order the defendant, through his counsel and witnesses, to refrain from mentioning, commenting, or making any reference whatsoever, either directly or indirectly, to any of the above matters without first obtaining permission of the court outside the presence and a hearing of the jury. To further order said persons to make no reference to the fact that this motion has been filed and granted, and all other relief just and proper in its premises. This is an actual, this case, let me see, I might have, let me pull it up. This case is actually about a shooting victim. I'll send it to you, Travis, so you can see it too. And then I think that you'll like that better anyway. Probably. I'd love to talk more about it. I'm trying to fit all this in. So to me, I'm like, wait a minute. So they don't want him to come up and try to confuse the jury when they paid him $5,000. But he's obviously wasn't going to testify to what they wanted, so now they need to exclude him. Let me see if I've sent this. Oh, I don't have it up, but I'll send it. Let me pull this up real quick. And then I want to talk to you guys about what this metallurgist, what they actually do. Hold on, I'm trying to find Travis. Yeah, I'll stick it in the one with. Okay, why didn't that come up with what I needed it to? And R&M might actually touch more on this tonight on their live, so that may be helpful as well. Okay, let me talk. So I sent that to Travis, and hopefully we'll have a chance to touch on it like in a more in-depth situation. We'll probably be able to touch on it when she rules. You think maybe it's mistaken? It's the only explanation. It had some other mistakes on the categories, etc. You think maybe the defense paid him the $5,000 and it just says prosecution? Well, that would make more sense. It would make more sense, but as of right now, it says it's the prosecution that did it. So I guess we shall see. We shall see. You could be right, though. Travis says, of course we will. Just say when. Okay, so I just pulled up Google because this is obviously, like I told you guys, not something I'm overly familiar with as a forensic science. But, hey. So this forensic metallurgist is a professional who analyzes the physical and chemical properties of metals and alloys to help determine the cause of the failure or the damage. They use their knowledge of the metallurgical principles and engineering and manufacturing to help answer questions like whether the appropriate engineering standards were followed, if the failure was due to use or abuse, if the alloy composition was suitable for the application, if the environmental conditions contributed to the damage. I don't want to reach too far, but this kind of seems like what I was talking about this dang unspent round, about how long it had been in the damn ground. But I could be very wrong. Hi, Carol. Wait, I think it's too early for the defense, though, isn't it? Let me see. Let me go back and see if it had the date on it. That was like right off the bat. 4/26/2023. I mean, so to hire an expert witness? I don't know. What do you think? You're the attorney. Would you hire one yet? And the that's good. That's good. Interesting. Hardness of the metal may matter for the uniqueness of the striations. Baldwin and Rosie came on the case 11/14 of 2022. Hi, sweet Melissa. Or the hardness of the metals, like the extractor making markings, like how the extractor could connect with the round in order to leave the markings. You guys know how I feel about firearm stuff. Like, it's just like it's not my forte. I don't know where Sniper is. Sniper normally helps me out with that stuff. So, I mean, you could be right, Travis. This could be just a typo, and maybe it does belong to the defense. But as of right now, I mean, I don't know how to prove that. How many lies do people have to tell themselves to believe that Richard Allen is the culprit, and this is a fair and just investigation? I sit on the second part of that. Like, I don't understand how this is a fair and just investigation. I don't. So where does that leave us? And if he is the guy, then it still has to matter. But they would be very familiar with the makings of that bullet. Right. Okay, let me go back over. Okay, so they work with a variety of materials. They do firearm analysis, examining bullets, casings, and weapon parts to determine their origin, their make, and any alterations. Tool mark analysis, examining the marks left behind by tools, such as scratches, dents, or wear patterns to identify their source. Forgery detection, analyzing the composition and characteristics of metals to detect forged documents, counterfeit coins, and metal-based inks. So they conduct inspections to identify the source of any loss resulting in injury, property damage, or legal action. They also assess the site of failure to improve the construction process. So that's improved construction and materials and manufacturing, welding errors, okay? Let's see. They're adept at uncovering the properties and chemical makeup of metals and alloys. So I'll have to find another case that they use a metallurgist, and see what they testified to. Because, like I said, this is new to me. So I can only think that they're just going to come in and talk then about the somebody had a purple PT Cruiser. I forget who now. Yeah, there's a couple of them. I think it was Tobe's mother-in-law. Tobe's mother-in-law had a purple PT Cruiser, and Keegan Klein's grandma, I believe. Oh, KK's mom. Sorry. Somebody connected to KK and somebody connected to Tobe. Those are the two big purple PT Cruisers. Yeah, and all the metals have different strengths. That word does not roll off the tongue at all. Metallurgy. Most roles are in labs, but I don't know why he wouldn't be able to testify to what he knows about like how the metal would impact, like how the extractor metal would impact the round metal, and how it could or could not leave accurate or inaccurate striations. Also, more about the the round itself and how. I think it still would have to do with how long it could have been there. I haven't figured out how to say it. I don't know. It's metallurgy. Metallurgy. Tara, Tobe, and KK Grandma. All purple, limited editions. I didn't know Tara had one. All right, let me see what you guys think. Since blood has metal in it, would a really good quality metal detector indicate blood even if old blood in the ground, since metal does not evaporate? I don't know the answer to that. Travis says all of the cases about the reliability of tool marks, whether they be on brass cartridges or screwdrivers, are based on principles of metallurgy. I have sent you dozens of cases with the Daubert analysis, but it had to do with metallurgy, and maybe I just didn't put two and two together. You probably did, Travis, and I was just not thinking about metallurgists. Not about accuracy, about the uniqueness. It also seems that if there was something like a miss, like that what caused it to misfire, right? And that's kind of the whole thing. Then they should be able to tell us why that would happen, right? I just don't feel like he would be coming in as a firearms expert anyway. I feel like he would be coming in as a metal expert. Okay, so Travis says one side says he isn't a metallurgist. Other side says don't need to be, etc. Metallurgy is very important in getting to reliability of the FATM. I will point them out. However, this goes to the reliability of the FAFM evidence. Court has already ruled it's in, so it's admissible. So then he should be simply ejected, not misfired. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm like once again like firearm shit is not my forte, so I can only tell you what my assumption is, and that I think that this would have more to do with the materials versus the actual firearm itself, the materials and how they interact with each other. So I'll have to do some more research. Metallurgy. All right, you guys, this has been an adventure. It's been an adventure. Thank you, all of you, for being here and spending your Friday evening with me. I know that you guys have 1,000 other places that you could spend your time, and yet you choose to spend your time here hanging out with me. Sometimes it's very humbling, and I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate everybody who sent me messages last night and today. I haven't even got to respond to all of them. But just know, like, I'm good. Everything is well. Everything is how it should be, and everything will continue to go down the path that it needs to. And we've got 17 days left. 17 days left till we're at jury selection. I really hope somebody is going to be at jury selection so we can hear what happens there. We need somebody to be at jury selection. I don't know if R&M is currently live. If you guys want to head over there, I don't think I have a wrench to drop the link, but R&M Productions. And then somebody also said that Prof was going to be live. I don't know if he's live. Those are the two Delphi places that I was told about in the chat. So have a good night. I'm going to go pick up the child and then eat some dinner, and then I might see you around on the YouTube streets later. Go enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys soon.